I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm going to pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes.
It's the old
it helped Daniel get out the lion's den. It helped get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Yeah. Got them lions in the building. Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUN. Man, you know I've been to bed. Man, they know they no contest. Yahuwah, he do the best. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to daughter. All the sons and all the daughters. Starting all the big manodas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, would not hesitate to get retarded. Oh Lord, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he farted. He's running to the hills like a Philistine. G-Hawk hitting Hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the Ratchet team. JJ 7000 to debate me. I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol all safety. He respond, come wake me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. Really give me if he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Balling and crawling all the way from H-Time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? Why you lying? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, rip it. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Michael got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, I'm dope and wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as the realest, yeah. Death by color, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUN. Man, they know I've been there. Yeah. Man, they know they no contest. Yeah. Yahuwah, he get Wow, what's that? Why ain't they taking over? Number one debate league, you heard me? When it's up, it's stuck. I'm setting on everything, nigga. Metaphorically, of course.
Peace. What's going on? This is Solar Mind. I will be hosting tonight's debate on the Lion's Den, featuring the Orthodox Moor and I forget the other brother's name. What's the brother's name? My apologies.
So
you had
Silky D, the Most High Ruler.
Silky D, the Most High Ruler. My apologies. All right, so we got a very powerful debate lined up for tonight. So get your pens and pads ready because this should be a very interesting debate. What does out of Africa mean? We're going to get down to the bottom of this. We are structuring the debate as follows. There will be a 5-minute opening, 3 15-minute rounds, 10-minute Q&A, and a closing. All right, so Orthodox Moor, what's good with you?
Peace. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you loud and clear.
That's what's up.
All right. Orthodox Moor is set to go first. We'll set the timer for 5 minutes. And whenever you're ready, brother, you can begin your opening.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen first. So hold up. Get my clock straight. We good to go?
Yes, whenever you're ready, brother.
All right. Let's get it. Peace, peace, peace. What is your brother Tyvon Swindle, aka the Orthodox More, wishing you all peace and blessings. Appreciate Solar for hosting the debate. Appreciate Lions Den for giving the platform for the debate. Appreciate brother Silky for showing up. Tonight we are answering the question, what does out of Africa mean? So this discussion started on a whole nother channel, and I'm taking the position that this means that mankind has their origins in Africa, and it means that the ancient Egyptians, Carthaginians, Berbers, and Moors are mostly Eurasian by ancestry and admixture. Like I said, this conversation started on a whole nother channel with a couple other debates and whatnot, and I found that this was a necessary conversation. My brother Yeshub from Yap Gang, shout out to Yap, debated the same brother on a very similar topic, and he kind of went over his head a little bit. So I'm gonna try to like talk to the brother a little bit more where he's at, and see if we can engage a little bit more. And so to that end, the sources that the brother introduced in his conversation with my brother Yeshub were AI searches in Wikipedia. Yeshub introduced genetic papers. Silky was claiming that there were no real sources introduced. That's something called a true Scotsman's fallacy. I hope we don't see that tonight. Like I said, I'm gonna try to meet him where he's at. I'm gonna do a little bit of both. I'm gonna hit him with a few Wikipedia joints and some genetic papers and see if we can meet in the middle. Silky versus Silky sources. So Silky has a very unique paradigm, right? So he believes that he has the proper concept of what out Africa is, and I don't mean to. I'm not trying to disparage the brother whatnot, but again, he has a very unique paradigm. So he believes that, again, like we're going to agree on a few things here tonight. On human origins being in Africa, there being bones of Homo sapiens in Morocco going back 300,000 years ago. He believes that the Berbers were always indigenous to Northwest Africa, and that the Berbers are not Eurasian, and that most Berber males are EM81. No disagreement with that. But this concept of there being like a genetic continuity, but with the Berbers throughout North Africa, it shows a lack of understanding of how the out of Africa concept works. His own sources kind of went against that in his debates against the Yeshua and whatnot. And I'm going to show that here tonight because, again, you're going to see the same concepts coming up, I promise you. And so there's an out of Africa theory and there's an Afrocentric out of Africa theory. We're going to see them kind of button heads tonight a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to agree on a lot of things having to do with the out of Africa theory, having to do with human origins being in Africa, the time, etc. Right? But there's going to be a lot of things we disagree on, right? So based upon how geneticists and how paleoanthropologists look at this concept, the people who left Africa and became the out of Africa lineages are also simultaneously known as non-African lineages. And so when they came back into Africa in a back to Africa migration, they're not seen as African necessarily, right? And so there's going to be a disagreement on who people are, like the Egyptians, Carthaginians, Berbers, Moors, even Chinese, Olmecs, and Negritos, and all that type of stuff if we get down to it, right? Because geneticists and paleoanthropologists will classify them as Eurasian. And Eurasian does not mean white. Let me be clear about that. It does not mean white. It has a specific meaning in genetics and paleoanthropology. However, in the ancient out of Africa theory, that's not the case. You're going to see a bunch of different claims being made that we're going to address going forward or whatnot. Having to do in terms of who gave what to who, chronology, and who people are. We're going to see a lot of conflation going on, and we're going to see a lot of misunderstanding of the sources being brought up. So premise one, the out of Africa theory posits that mankind originated in Africa and migrated out of Africa roughly 70,000 years ago and diverged into a multitude of distinct non-African people groups. Premise two, the out of Africa supports the concept of Eurasian back to Africa, migrations to Africa 30,000 years ago, etc. Premise three, many African populations verifiably either directly descend from these Eurasian back to Africa migrations or show heavy admixture from these back to Africa migration events, including Berbers, Egyptians, Carthaginians, and Moors.
Time.
The out of Africa. What was that?
Yeah, you got to 5 minutes, right, for the opening?
Yeah, with a 2-minute grace.
Okay, I'll give it a 2-minute grace.
And conclusion, the out of Africa theory does not support the notion that either everyone is African or Silky's 300,000-year Berber continuity paradigm. Counter premise one, the out of Africa theory falsely posits the Afrocentric out of Africa theory falsely posits that when mankind left Africa, they remained African genetically and did not diverge into distinct non-African people groups. Premise two, the Afrocentric out of Africa theory falsely claims that North African civilizations built by Egyptians, Carthaginians, Berbers, and Moors are not Eurasian but African genetically. Premise number three, the out of Africa theory falsely rejects, or the Afrocentric out of Africa theory falsely rejects culture and technology back migrating into Africa along with Eurasian gene flow. Conclusion, the Afrocentric out of Africa theory is built on false premises, and so is Silky's 300,000-year Berber continuity paradigm. Questions he will have to answer in this debate. Is Rachel Dolezal African? This will expose special pleading. Should Rachel Dolezal represent African Americans? Are the Negritos and Atamanese Islanders African, etc.? Has EM81 and the Berbers shown a genetic continuity in North Africa 300,000 years? What is genetic divergence and what is genetic drift? Okay. This debate is not about Africa being the origin of mankind, as we both agree on that point. This debate is not about any particular culture or people being phenotypically dark or black. This debate is not about language or recorded historical narratives. This debate is about walking through the out of Africa theory and its genetic implications as understood by the field of science that introduced it into the world. Thank you very much.
All right. Shout out to Orthodox Moore. We're going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to pass the rock now over to Professor Silky. All right, Professor Silky, you have 5 minutes with a 2-minute overlay to present your opening whenever you're ready.
Oh, it's on. Yes, sir. I can't believe you had the nerve to say that. We literally went over Joshua's information on this platform previously, and it was a laughingstock joke. Okay, he got abused by me. You're saying the Amazigh Berbers from North Africa are from Europe, Asia? Like, do you hear yourself? You got the nerve to come out here. What y'all are gonna see tonight is a beautiful, magnificent, orchestrated, well put together. What you call that? Picasso. There we go. Yeah, well put together Picasso is what y'all are gonna see tonight. All right, you feel me? The most beautiful offense, the meanest offense. All right, I'm gonna go dive all through out of Africa. We're gonna go all through everywhere. We're gonna touch on everything. I don't know what this guy's coming on here is trying to claim and ride for Joshua that I beat up. I don't know how many times I kept losing to me every time he saw me. I had to show up with a bunch of sources that you can't see. How are we gonna check that stuff? How can we check your sources? What link is that? You just showing stuff. I'm getting tired of y'all just typing stuff all the time, and I don't never see no sources. Sure, I want to know where to go get this source at. I want to see the source. I want to see the actual source. Can I get some of what the source look like? Oh, I gotta go off of what you typing. Ain't no links in there or nothing. Boy, y'all make me, y'all got it tonight. It's out of Africa, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, say less, but I'm gonna say more. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty to say about out of Africa. We're gonna say, I'm so hyped and geeked up on this one. I'm like, oh yeah, this one about to be, I'm hyped to rep this one. We're going out of Africa and we're going to see what it really is. You know what I'm talking about? We're going to dig deep in the files. We're going to go to all the files. Genetics, science, old sources, new sources. All right, we're going to go all over the place. We're going to bleed the block and let y'all know what out of Africa really is. I mean, then again, it really shouldn't be that hard to comprehend, but it's all right. Y'all got Silky D. I'm going to walk y'all down the path. I'm going to hold everybody's hand, and I'm going to show y'all all what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't no misunderstandings or misconceptions or anybody getting lost on this thing right here. I'm leading the tour. It's going to be a walk in the park. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go all through the good old motherland, baby. You know what I'm saying? Africa on the map, you feel me? The motherland. We're going to give her props tonight. You know what I'm saying? We're going to show y'all, even though they don't want y'all to see, because we got other people like this guy out there trying to preach all this Europe stuff, which is irrelevant. All right? All that stuff is way later, but keep on trying to push that. You're trying to put the Berbers, the North Indigenous gene. You ever heard of that one? That's the Berbers, the Amazigh. But you got nerve to come on here and try to talk all this noise. You need to stop it. But, oh yeah, you're going to get this work, man. I got a mean premise. Y'all going to see it all. We're not missing nothing on this one. We're going to see how many times and just how many sources go ride for Africa. That's what it's really about. You know what I'm saying? Source up and shut up. He ain't even showing. You can't even check what his sources. We don't know where they came from. That's the problem with a lot of these people. But yeah, I'm about to show y'all. Y'all gonna get everything from A to Z. You'd be amazed how much information is out there on this topic. You know what I'm saying? You know when they say, what's the term when they talk about evolution, but they really don't really show too much? When they say the abundance of evidence, yeah, we're gonna dig through the evidence. I'm gonna present all the evidence. Y'all about to get nothing but the gems. We're gonna go through it. Like it's nothing to be missed. It's all over the place. So I'm gonna show it to y'all. We got charts, we got genetics, we got science, we got anthropology, okay, archaeology, everything. We got all that connecting, all that up in there. Okay, they running all, everything's ran through there. You'd be amazed how much stuff is linked there. What y'all gonna see tonight? We're gonna pull out them genetics. You know, so we're gonna pull out these sources. Yeah, we're gonna pull out real sources, no fake sources. Y'all getting real sources. Origins on everything. Origins. The starting point, the root of the tree. All right, blacker the berry, deeper the root. Going to the root. All right, origins. This is the starting point, and then on. Okay, but we focusing on the starting point. All right, because if you don't know where you came from, how you gonna know where you're going? So we're gonna lay it out. I got a buku amount of great sources for everybody. Y'all already know the Source King. Y'all gonna see him. Yeah, I can't wait to see what my opponent shows up with. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be something mediocre.
Do you want to use your 2 minutes? Do you want to use your extra 2 minutes?
2 minutes? Oh, good stuff. Yeah, he already starting on the wrong foot already. That's his first mistake. Is he came out here trying to ride for his homeboy that lost to me in the last debates. I don't know why he's trying to come out here and even start with that. The fact that you wanted that like that, that's the type of smoke you asking for. Yeah, you could definitely get that. I'm with that one right there. So I'm glad you made that play because I got a whole lot of plays to make. I'm gonna be showing y'all a whole lot of evidence, a whole lot of sources. We're gonna talk to the scholars. We're gonna talk to the scientists. We're gonna talk to the you know what I'm saying, everybody in the lab. That's what we're gonna go holler at. We're gonna pull it all together and see what it say. See what we come up with. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna look at it under the magnifying glass. We're gonna hit it with max scrutiny. Be sure all the sources I show in this debate, y'all go check them out. You know what I'm saying? They're easy to find because I'm showing y'all what they are. I already went through the trouble of getting these sources. So smack dab, type key the stuff in what you see on the screen. That's where it's at. Go hit it. There's buku amount of that. You getting bundles of sources. Buku amount. All my sources are easy to find too. You ain't got to struggle. Check these sources. A lot of these people, they check their information. And then when they type up stuff like that, you can't even check none of that. I can't, who that's coming from? All that stuff coming out his own mouth. I don't get, yeah, I need some sources. He better show me some sources. I'll tell you that. If I don't see no sources, why he's talking about I ain't bringing no sources. Yeah, all right, yeah, we're gonna see how many sources you pull out. Yeah, I'm gonna be counting. Believe that. Cause I ain't come here to play tonight. I'm repping Africa. You see, I'm in my all white, you know what I'm talking about? People been waiting for this one. I'm gonna put them on my shoulders tonight. We're doing this one for the motherland. You know what I'm saying? As they say Zion, you know what I'm saying? Akabulan, you know what I'm saying? Ethiopia, you know what I'm saying? And a whole lot more. All right, we're gonna go to the root. We're gonna give Africa a respect tonight. Tonight, Africa is on the pedestal. She is being praised for her past, present, and future.
Time. All right. Shout out to Professor Silky. All right, we're gonna get started on the premise round. We're gonna swing it over now to Orthodox Moore. You have 15 minutes for your premise. We can see your screen whenever you're ready. Unmute your mic.
There we go. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So my brother already came through with the fallacies and whatnot, and I will address them thoroughly on my third round. I will make that a full rebuttal round. But he already came through with some false equivalences in terms of making like an either or kind of a thing, or making it seem like I'm trying to rep Eurasia or Europe in some way, shape, or form, which is also an appeal to emotion, acting like I'm anti-African in some way, shape, or form, which I am not in any way, shape, or form. Again, he came through with the true Scotsman thing, saying that no one's going to be bringing real sources, when again, what was shown was that for him, real sources were AI searches and Wikipedia. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of both for my brother. I'm going to show him some Wikipedia stuff. I'm going to show him some actual genetic papers and whatnot. But that being said, let's get it. Since the 1960s, we have had evidence of Homo sapien fossils in Africa, showing an African origin of mankind. Again, this is something we're going to agree on. We agree on 60% about what we're about to say, but we're going to strongly disagree on that last 40%. So you're going to hear us both agreeing on this concept right here. But again, this is something that originates in the field of paleoanthropology. They find the bones in Africa. Again, they started finding them since the 60s. And now they have an argument for, we think Homo sapiens come from Africa. After the bones come out, we get chromosomal DNA coming through, right? And we understand some stuff now, and we understand something called mitochondrial Eve. Since the 1980s, our mitochondrial most recent common ancestor is situated at the divergence. Pay attention to that word, fam. It's going to come up many times. The divergence of macrohaplogroup L into L0 and L1 through L6. Also, along with that, we got Y chromosome Adam. Again, both of these ancestors going back hundreds of thousands of years ago, right? Since the 1990s, we've known this concept that our Y chromosome most recent common ancestor is Y chromosome Adam. Haplogroup A has come to mean the foundational haplogroup. Haplogroup A includes all mutations that took place between the most recent common ancestor and the mutation defining haplogroup BT, estimated at some 140,000, 150,000 years ago. Since the 1990s, family, we've been unlocking the human genome. That's helped us understand a multitude of things in terms of how genes express in the system, physically, etc. We've also been mapping admixture events through understanding this human genome. We went through the haplogroups and the chromosomes, and now we started to understand the autosomes a lot better and everything in between. We also found out from this testing, etc., that after leaving the continent, that the outer Africa lineages, aka all non-African lineages, again, pay attention to this concept. All non-African lineages intermixed with archaic humans before back migrating into Africa, roughly 40,000 years ago. We also know something different now, right? So we know now that among West Africans, like the Yoruba and Mende populations, etc., there was an admixture with an archaic human that had diverged before the splitting of Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, and that with this particular archaic human, that West Africans that I just mentioned, etc., and related people groups have an admixture anywhere from 2% to 19%. We also learned our vast diversity in phenotypical gene expression, etc., came from the concepts of genetic divergence and genetic drift. One more time, genetic divergence and genetic drift. These are going to be foundational concepts that must be understood to fully understand this debate and the Out Africa theory. And my brother must define these terms and show command of these terms in this debate. Genetic divergence is the process in which two or more populations of an ancestral species accumulate independent genetic changes / mutations through time. Again, one more time. Genetic divergence is the process in which two or more populations of an ancestral species accumulate independent genetic changes / mutations through time. Genetic drift is the change in the frequency of an existing gene variant allele in a population due to random change, and genetic drift may cause gene variants to disappear, and they can even cause them to be fixed. So what does that mean? This is how you get populations, for instance, being blue-eyed over brown-eyed, or having black hair over blonde hair, etc., right? These are very important concepts to understand. How did we get our diversity, and how do we express it? Something also very important to understand is genetic admixture. Genetic admixture occurs when previously isolated populations interbred, resulting in a population that is descended from multiple sources. It results in a gene pool that is a mix of the source populations. Again, this is a concept of genetic divergence, ancestral population, and you have one or more people diverging from that, splitting off from that population, becoming something different. So again, out of Africa, that whole phrase in and of itself means non-African lineages. Genetic drift. We have two main types of genetic drift. We have the founder effect, which occurs when a few individuals become isolated from the larger population. Allele frequencies in the small founder population can be different from those in the larger parent population. We have also the bottleneck effect, right? Which means sudden reduction in a population size due to a change in environment, resulting gene population may no longer be reflective of the original population. If population remains small, further genetic drift can occur. My apologies for the misspellings, Phil. This is a very interesting paper, right? The rare deep-rooting DO African Y chromosomal haplogroup and its implications for the expansion of modern humans out of Africa. It actually argues for something my brother's going to talk about in terms of there being a lineage that stays in Africa, etc., right? Or potentially could stay in Africa, right? However, it's inconclusive. Here's what we know for certain and what's stated in the paper. Again, the humans outside Africa derive most of their genetic ancestry from a single migration event 50,000 to 70,000 years ago. We're going to agree on this part. We shouldn't beef on none of this stuff here. According to the current model supported by genetic data from genomic-wide mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosomal DNA analysis, the migrating populations carried only a small subset of African genetic diversity, particularly striking for the non-recombining mtDNA and Y chromosomes, where robust, calibrated, high-resolution phylogenies can be constructed. And in each case, pay attention, please, all non-African lineages descend from a single African lineage, L3 for mtDNA or CTM168 for the Y chromosome. Again, one more time, This is something in the field of genetics that has to do with this concept. All non-African lineages, all non-African lineages descend from a single African lineage, L3 for mtDNA and CT-N168 for the Y chromosome. My brother has to answer the question: what is a non-African lineage? He said in our weigh-in, in our prelim, that you always stay African. That's not what the geneticists say. The geneticists stipulate there are African lineages and non-African lineages. And again, they specify this, that CT-N168, the branch diverged within a short time, right, into 3 lineages. This concept of divergence is huge, fam. My brother has to be able to define it and show command of it somewhere in the debate. Oh, going backwards with this thing. My fault. So again, non-African lineages. Out of African lineages are, again, south, everything below CT. These are non-African lineages. DE, everything below DE, C, F, G, H, all the way down the line, fam. What they consider to be African lineages for 100% are A, B, and sometimes you throw E in there. But there's a nuance in how you talk about E, because E is a descendant from a non-African lineage. Same thing for the mtDNA. Everything that's below L3 in this concept, and now speaking very generally, that because you can make an argument for certain L3 clades, etc., right? Is everything below L3 in this concept is a non-African lineage. Again, all this down here, fam, non-African lineages, and that's how geneticists see this concept. They don't say that you always stay African. They don't deny that the origin is African, but they talk about the concept about populations changing and diverging via mutations, etc., and becoming something unique and different. We also see something called a back to Africa migration, where we see these haplogroups that developed outside of Africa also coming back to Africa, right? So we even see deep into Central and West Africa R1b amongst the Chadic people and Fulani people and Mende people, etc. We see J1, J2, haplogroup T, etc., all in Africa, resulting as a result of a back to Africa migrations. Something else we started learning about was admixture and how to date admixture, etc. Very interesting paper. Dating admixture events is unsolved problems in multi-way admixed populations. What's interesting about this, fam, is that every group and color you see on this page here has at least 2 admixture events. 2 to 6 is what we see on this, right? 2 to 6. Nobody on the face of the planet is not admixed. There's no purebloods anywhere. That's an important thing to understand in this conversation. Again, talking about admixture, again, geographic population structure analysis of worldwide human populations infers their biogeographical origins. Again, we could spend all day on this, right? But long story short is, from top to bottom, there's not a single pure blood person on the planet. Not even the Khoisan. The Khoisan still have very light Eurasian admixture and sub-Saharan African admixture, etc. Not even the Khoisan are pure. Everybody has admixture at this juncture in time. Also, these back to Africa migrations, which my brother is going to, his slides already confirm this. They confirmed at least 15,000 years ago in multiple events, right? In resulting from 3,000 to 15,000 years ago, right? Already confirmed in his slides against my brother in a previous debate. So we can't even get around this part, right? And what is this? Non-Africans, fam. Non-Africans coming. Again, same migrations, fam. 15,000 years ago to now. What we also see is that many people groups in all 4 corners of Africa are representative of these Eurasian back migrations. Egyptians, Ethiopians, Berbers, Chadic people, Fulani, Hausa, Mende, Yoruba, Khoisan, and many, 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 many more people. Many more people. Like I said, all four corners. So what my brother's going to deny is that the Berbers have anything to do with this Eurasian back migration, or that other people like the Berbers have anything to do with this Eurasian back migration. Now, again, a Eurasian back migration doesn't have anything to do with discounting or doing away with an African origin. What it does is, again, it's recognizing what the geneticists say about their own field and their own theory. This is their thing. This isn't Silky's thing. This is their thing. And they stipulate that due to genetic divergence and genetic drift, people became different peoples. And non-African lineages arose and even went back into Africa. This is an important thing to understand and get down. Why is this important to understand? This is important to understand because, again, this debate is important because the out of Africa theory has been hijacked by the Afrocentric out of Africa theory. And as a community, we need to stand on science, not pseudoscience. We need to stand on real scholarship and not pseudo scholarship. We need to stop allowing ourselves to falsely appropriate other people's cultures, just like we don't want other people falsely appropriating ours. It's okay to accept who we come from. That's why I'm asking the real question, is Rachel Dolezal African? Because my brother's saying yes. The scientists are saying no, based upon the out of Africa theory. And with that, I say peace and love. Thank you for this round.
Shout out to Moore for that excellent presentation. We're going to pass the rock now over to Professor Silky D. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your presentation.
Hold on. Oh wait, yeah, Karima, let me get that on the screen for the people. Hold on, we need to get, yeah, Kareem, put that on the big thing for me. It's your boy, yes sir. Time out, Orthodox. Yeah, man, that was you had a very interesting presentation. First go. Yep. There we go. Y'all ready?
Yes, sir. Whenever you're ready, brother. Whenever you're ready.
All right, bro. All right, let's go. All right, it's your boy Silky, everybody. Let me go ahead and serve Africa correctly. Okay, the out of Africa theory, also known as the replacement theory or the African Eve theory, proposes that the modern humans, Homo sapiens, originated in Africa and then migrated to other parts of the world, replacing earlier human species like Homo erectus and Neanderthals. The theory suggests that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa and were ancestors of all modern humans. It posits that the Homo sapiens migrated from Africa, eventually settling in Eurasia, Asia, and other continents. The migration is believed to have led to the displacement and eventually extinction of other hominid groups in the early inhabitants of those regions. Studies of the mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, and the Y chromosome support the out of Africa theory. All right, let's go on to the next one. Next, there you go. Just roll it on up. There we go. All right, let's go to the Britannica. All right, let's go. In Homo sapiens bodily structure, out of Africa 1 contends that the earlier Homo species did in fact migrate from Africa before the evolution of Homo sapiens. Out of Africa, there 2, also called the population replacement hypothesis, picks up where the out of Africa 1 leaves off. So the one of these theories, the origin, we're not arguing over the origin. We're talking about after the origin, which is just a bunch of extra for them to keep, I guess, busy. But so let's go to the next one. In human evolution of the emergence of the Homo sapiens, the African replacement or the out of Africa model and intermediate are the African hybridization and replacement model and the assimilation model. All but the multi-regional model maintain the Homo sapiens evolved solely in Africa and they deployed to Eurasia and eventually the Americas and Oceania. Both of the replacement models argue that. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. The first theory, known as the Outer Africa model, is that Homo sapiens developed first in Africa and then spread around the world between 100 to 200,000 years ago, superseding all other hominid species. The implication of this argument is that all modern people are ultimately of African descent. That's from BBC World News. You know what I'm saying? That's BBC. Yeah, that's BBC. That's from the BBC World News. Y'all see the source, right? Yeah, we're gonna keep it moving. On to the next. The Outer Africa theory maintains that the Homo sapiens evolved from a group of Homo erectus in Africa that then subsequently spread out throughout Africa, Asia, Europe, replacing all the other less evolved human cousins, including Homo erectus Neanderthals. Well, we're gonna keep it moving. Going to the next one. On to the next one, Karima. We're gonna keep it moving. But yeah, y'all see we on sources. We on yeah, it's all Africa. Okay, what is the Outer Africa theory? Today, the human race exists in almost every part of the landmass of the world compared to other creatures. Humans are unique. We can adapt to almost every environment condition in all parts of the world. They talking about the Africans being all over the place. Let's go on to the next one. Now, this is really where I'm about to drop a nuke on you. So, the Homo primate. Now, let's stop right there. Yeah, chill right there. So let's just remember now. If anybody's an evolutionary person, don't we all got that came from the great ape. We're all in the great ape family, and we extend from that that split off great ape common ancestor with the ape, right? Well, guess where that ape was where it comes from? Yeah, that ape comes in Africa. So whatever y'all talking about, we don't have to go to the human. We can just go to the ape that you're classified as in the great ape family, and that's in Africa. But let me not tell you. Let's see what the scholars think about it. So the Homo genus is a great ape that includes modern humans, Homo sapiens, and several other extinct species. The Latin word for homo translates to human or man. Let's go to the next one. Modern humans are the last surviving member of the human family. Specifically, we are known by the scientific name of Homo sapiens. However, before we appeared, early versions of humans such as Homo habilis, Homo neanderthals, plus others were the first to develop. I'm guessing monkeys. The first humans evolved from other primates, yep, a group of animals that include monkeys and apes, yep, between 4 to 2 million years ago, somewhere in Eastern and Southern Africa. The primate comes from Africa. So you out here doing all this, talking all that, reading that stuff, the great ape, they come from Africa. So now what you want to do? So we can start a human, we can start at where we split off at from the animal. For another route, it's still all Africa, regardless how you want to cut the pot. But yeah, we're gonna keep going. Yeah, that's it, right? I don't know where else you want to go. I mean, if you're gonna go that way, you gotta throw that out. So yeah, the first humans evolved. Let me see. First humans evolved from a primates group of animals, including monkeys and apes, between 4 to 2 million years ago, somewhere in Eastern and Southern Africa. At the point in history, the environment in Africa produced a lot of forests. As a result, primates thrived among the many trees and abundant food resources. Africa, plus tropical. Let's go on to the next one. The evolutionary history of the apes includes numerous extinct forms, many known only from fossil remains, particularly in Africa. Early hominids such as Orion, the central Kenya. Human DNA very similar to that of chimpanzees and sequence divergence or orthologous, sites being only 1.2. This is a close genetic relationship towards the idea that humans and chimpanzees share a common ancestor. Ancestors in Africa. We in Africa. That's where we at. Count how many years? Let me see. 4.2 million years, something like that. Yeah, that part. Evolution, right? Humans evolved along the branch of the hominid lineage, while the great ape species, gorilla, chimpanzees, and orangutans developed along other branches. In Africa, where it's tropical, where you can survive at. The root, where the fruit's at. You know what? Australopithecus africanus. Australopithecus africanus is an extinct species of Australopitheci, which lived between about 3.3 and 2.1 million years ago in the late Palestine, the early Palestine of South Africa. You talking about the migration? Go look up the monkey migration when you get done with this one. Coming out here and got the nerve challenge, boy. We've been in Africa. We can start there. You don't know how to do math? That's simple math right there. 3.3 million. If y'all want to go off, that's what we're at. That's what it is, right? That's what science, right? That's what scholars say. So there you go. In Africa. I don't know what else. That's case closed. But we're gonna keep rolling though. The tongs, Scarfatine, the Magapixine, and Glaze of Lale. The first specimen of tongue child was described by the autonomous Raymond Dart in 1924. This was the first early young hominid found. However, its closer relations to humans than other apes would not become widely accepted until the middle of the century because most had believed humans evolved outside of Africa. Like my opponent right here. He thinks they with the outside. Nah, man. It's there, man. It's Africa. Ain't no, we there. It's too many years, we still there. Come on, man. Stop playing with me. So we're gonna go on to the next one. Go on to the next one, Karima. Oh yeah, let's hit on with this one. All right, 2017. All right. Ancient fossils from Morocco mess up the modern human origins. Yeah, because now we're back to dating. Dated at more than 300,000 years ago, the finders keep questions about the defining features of Homo sapiens and how our kind came to be. Another root. Found a 300,000-year-old fossil from the Jebel Arhu in Morocco. Researchers the fossil are the earliest known humans Homo sapiens found. Science. We're inside science. Where are your sources at? Organizational team concluded that the Jebel Arhu remains represent the very root of our species. The older that Homo sapiens ever found in Africa or elsewhere. Hubbard said to in the press conference, the remains reveal a group that lacked some of our hallmark traits, but whose anatomical form could have gradually evolved into our modern one. He and his colleagues report that in their paper describing the fossils. Hubbard noted that the findings do not imply that Morocco was the cradle of modern humankind, instead taken together with other fossils discoveries that suggest that our emergence of Homo sapiens was a pan-African affair. Yeah, Kenya, Morocco, all Africa, pick a spot. About 300,000 years ago, early Homo sapiens had spread across the continent. Wonder why they say 300,000? Oh yeah, because you in Morocco. This dispersal was helped by the fact. Okay, well, so here, some more sources, real stuff. This, 5 early humans, 3 of those, a child and an adolescent, were found in what would have been a roomy, pleasant cave about 300,000 years ago, located on the Moroccan hillside between Marrakesh and the Atlantic coast. The site known as Jebel Arhu was until recently been a mine and a quarry. Miners first discovered human remains there in the 1960s, but they were identified as 40,000-year-old Neanderthals. The Max Planck Institute. The Max Planck Institute evolutionary biologist Jean-Jacques Houblon wasn't satisfied with the explanation. Houblon said the shapes or the Earth skulls were all wrong for late Neanderthals. To him, he like the skulls look like they even more primitive versions of the 150,000-year-old humans we already found in East Africa. They look like the East African ones. Well, they older though, but they look like the East African ones. Oh, snap. Could the early people even earlier examples of the humanity in Africa? At the time, his idea was anathema in anthropology community. Yeah, because everybody was rooting for the East. Where the conventional wisdom, held that the humans evolved in the East Africa. It was East Africa way before that. Like, there's always been Africa. When did they never not been Africa? With the conventional wisdom, let me see. Yeah, at the time, it was out there. Yeah, with the conventional wisdom held East Africa. And if that were the case, it made no sense that a slightly earlier human was walking around in North Africa. You dang Skippy. That's what the Max Planck person said about it. All right, same thing I said. I said the same thing. Yeah, it don't make no sense. It's from the note. You feel it's that way. Let's go on to we're gonna hit on with that. Hominid presence in the Eurasia dates back to at least 2 million years, with the early evidence of Homo erectus and early human species. The first known hominid dispersal in the Eurasia likely occurred around 1.8 million years ago, with further migrations and the interbreeding with Neanderthals and Denisovans later, modern humans. But the Homo sapiens eventually colonized the Eurasians, interacting with existing archaic human populations. Like, come on, man. Evidence suggests hominids were present in Eurasia at least 1.8 million years ago, with some traces hinting at an even earlier presence. The hominid remains found in the Masaman were a key piece of evidence dating back to 1.77 million years ago. Cybermona and evidence hominids activating activity dating back 1.95 million years ago. Species widely, go to the next one, Kramer. The species is widely considered the first hominid to migrate out of Africa. Let me read that again. The species is widely considered the first hominid to migrate out of Africa. Yes, Africa. This is all over the place. The archaic human. Well, I tell you. And into the Eurasia around 1.7 million years ago. Homo erectus. You, us, everybody.
Time. Shout out to Professor Silky D. We're going to keep this thing rocking and rolling. We're going to pass it back to Orthodox Moore. You have 15 minutes more whenever you're ready.
You see the screen?
Yep, it's up there.
All right. Let's get it. I appreciate my brother for his round and for his information, but I got to quickly point out that he already hit me with the false claim. So he tried to put out there that I believe in the multi-regional theory, and I do not. Again, I back and 100% believe in the out of Africa theory. We agree on that. Trying to misinterpret my position is false. And I'm hoping the brother's not doing it on purpose. But we shall see going forward. That being the case, now I'm going to deal with the Afrocentric out of Africa theory. The Afrocentric out of Africa theory is again believes in some of the things that the out of Africa theory talks about, and there's some of the things I'm going to agree with. Again, we're going to agree on certain things here, but there's certain things we're going to disagree with. I'm not saying my brother espouses all of this or most of this either, right? But I promise you, he's going to espouse some of this, right? And again, he already doubled down on the concept of you staying African. We're not going to disagree on the African origin or African descent of mankind. However, this bit about rejecting what geneticists say about there being a non-African lineage, right? Again, still descended from Africans, but a non-African lineage has to be contended with in some way, shape, or form in this debate, fam. Again, the Afrocentric out of Africa theory posits that Africa is the origin of humanity. Agree. At one time, the whole world was black. I'm not going to argue with that too much. Africans are pure blood with no archaic admixture. Definitely going to disagree with that. My man was just talking about different archaic humans and whatnot. And we find that there's admixture amongst Africans what we did not think previously. Africa taught the world civilization. It's demonstrable that we can find things coming into Africa that pertains to civilization, like agriculture, etc., that are hallmarks of civilization that Africa did not give the world, but received from the world. Again, that's not taking a shot at Africa. That's being realistic about the storyline. Egypt was a black land. We're going to get into that and parse that one out. Carthage was an African empire. We're going to parse that one out as well. The Berbers and Moors are the same as sub-Saharan Africans. These are generally a lot of things that you hear. Plus, like the Olmecs are Africans. The original Chinese are Africans. All this type of stuff comes with this Afrocentric out of Africa theory, where again people stay African. They don't ever become something distinct. Where we agree, again, Africa is the origin of humanity. I'm not disputing that in any way, shape, or form. I'm also not disputing the fact that at one point in time, the whole world was dark skinned. Even the science bears that out. Science shakes that out. We can get into it that less than 7,000 years ago, we're seeing stuff show up that was not there before, right? No issue with that whatsoever. But there's other things that we're going to disagree on because the science doesn't bear out the claims or the assumptions that are being made. For instance, a lot of times there's assumptions being made off of misunderstanding of what science is saying, because a lot of times we're coming into this thing with the regular layman's understanding and not understanding what the words mean, what the same words can mean in a different field of science, right? That's why I'm asking my brother to engage in the definitions and break down. Does he understand the concept of divergence? Does he understand the concept of genetic drift? Because he's saying that people stay the same, and that's not what geneticists stipulate via the concepts of genetic divergence and genetic drift, etc. Again, it was once believed that sub-Saharan Africans didn't carry any admixture with Neanderthals, etc. This led to belief that sub-Saharan Africans were the only pure humans or Homo sapiens. This is not the case any longer, right? Again, this was these were coming out in studies in like 2011, 2012, etc. I used to believe this concept myself, right? However, we know better now. This is what we know now, right? Now we know not only do we have evidence of Neanderthal DNA among Africans, we also have evidence for sub-Saharan African admixture with an unknown archaic human. An unknown archaic human. And again, we now know that among West Africans, like the Yoruba and Mende populations, etc., that this admixture with this archaic human, again, that diverged. That word is important. Diverged. It's going to come up time and time again in this debate. My brother got to show what he understands what that means. That they diverged before the splitting of Homo sapiens and Neanderthals and Denisovans. Again, West Africans carry, there's certain West Africans that carry this admixture from 2 to 19%. I'll admit this too. It feels good to say that Africa taught the world civilization. And in some respect, I can agree in terms of re-education and other things, right? Depending on the time period. Like my brother likes to talk about a lot of Moorish stuff. I can definitely agree with the Moors re-educating a lot of Western Europe on a lot of stuff that was lost and whatnot, right? But in terms of being, there's this concept in the Afrocentric out of Africa concept to where life originates in Africa, all technology originates in Africa, and then the out of Africa migration disperses these peoples in technologies, etc., whatnot. And that's not quite how it works, right? Again, it feels good to say that Africa taught the world civilization, right? However, it's an unfounded claim to say Africa taught the world civilization, right? Like especially when we have proof to the contrary, right? Again, I could spend all day talking about things, right? But just as a very small sample, the Natufian culture of the Levant, again, from 15,000 years ago to 11,500 years ago, they brought agriculture to the world, fam. To the world, fam. This isn't something that Africa brought to the world, right? This is something that was brought to Africa and through Africa via these same people migrating through. We see a heavy admixture of these people in North Africa, where my brother likes to focus his scholarship and whatnot. We see other things coming in. I could spend all day. Like, I could talk about the Hyksos bringing in like chariots and the composite bow. I could talk about other people bringing in language and whatnot, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It has also long been thought that ancient Egypt was a Black African civilization. We are finding now that ancient Egypt was very Eurasian and didn't get more sub-Saharan African DNA until the Roman periods, fam. Until the Roman periods. Late. Not that it didn't have any at all. I'm saying, like, we're seeing that, like, it was very little, fam. And again, we can see this with the oldest mummies that we have going back almost 4,000 years or whatnot, right? All the Y DNA that we're seeing right here, with the exception of the couple on the bottom. Again, I'll grant my man like haplogroup E. I'll give him that one all day long, right? We'll go around about some other stuff, but just for sake of argument, I'll give him haplogroup E, right? You have to understand though that the vast majority of the other haplogroups that we're seeing, from the male and the female side, are Eurasian. There are no African female clades that we see on this list, right? Not like what we showed, so from what we saw earlier, right? Again, the out African clades are the non-African clades, man. And again, everything south of CT and everything south of L3, which is everything we see, man. Anyway. It has also been long taught that the Berbers and Moors are Black Africans like sub-Saharan Africans. Well, I can agree that both contain a North African component, and many were and are dark-skinned. One more time. While I can agree that both contain a North African component, and many were and are dark-skinned, the evidence isn't proving a large sub-Saharan African component. While we know that ancestral Berber, the ancestral Berber component is largely due to a back to Africa migration. Shout out to Yeshua, because he showed that in his debate against Silky, showing you the same source, fam, same information. And again, we see the same concept again, to where I'll give you haplogroup B, fam. But you also have to look at the fact that these are non-African mitochondrial clades that we see amongst the oldest bodies that we have from Morocco and whatnot, in terms of what we have DNA from. You got to take that into account. We're not seeing a bunch of sub-Saharan, we're not seeing really any in this sample, right? Any sub-Saharan African clades. The DNA evidence from Moorish Spain is showing the same thing we see in current Berber populations. Roughly 5% sub-Saharan African lineages are represented. Again, that's male, female, roughly 5%. 95% of what we see from the Moors is not sub-Saharan African. 95% of what we see, male and female, is not sub-Saharan African. And again, this is something that we can see current to this day, to where the what was going to be considered a sub-Saharan African lineage is going to be roughly around 5%. This persists now. It was the same back in Moorish Spain as it is right now. Again, we can see this in terms of the admixture and the haplogroups. Let me check my time right quick. Yeah, and so this is where I'm getting the numbers from, fam. 5%. We're also told that Carthaginians and Hannibal Barca were Black Africans. Again, I will agree to a certain extent that they were dark-skinned and also had a small North African component. I'm not going to disagree with that point. One more time. Again, I will agree to a certain extent that they were dark skinned and also had a small North African component. But the DNA is showing they are largely Eurasian, fam. Largely Eurasian. My man said he's going to break out DNA. I want to see it. Because if he's breaking out like out of African clades, these are non-African clades, and we keep seeing that in the literature, fam. Again, he has to address this concept in genetics. What is a non-African clade as it pertains to the out of Africa theory? Again, with the Punic peoples, this is a study you got to go pay for, fam. Shout out to Yap. You know what I'm saying? We'll actually put up on papers and get some stuff done and whatnot. Man, appreciate the family because there's some great information in this, right? But again, we see the same thing. Like you keep seeing in all these different admixture graphs, fam. All these different admixture graphs, you're not seeing a whole bunch of sub-Saharan African DNA. What you're seeing is a whole bunch of either North African or Eurasian DNA, etc. Like the North African also containing a lot of Eurasian DNA, etc. Right? You're seeing Greek DNA, you're seeing steppe DNA, you're seeing Iranian DNA, you're seeing Iberian and Sardinian DNA. You feel what I'm saying? You're not seeing a lot of sub-Saharan African DNA. And again, these are the haplogroups that are commensurate with what we have with the Punic bodies and whatnot, right? Again, we're not seeing sub-Saharan African lineages. Like, so for instance, we see E1B1B and E1A, right? These are what are going to be considered to be the North African lineages, right? And again, they're considered such after, again, like my man showed you in the previous debate. Again, like what we showed you here, everything south of CT, that's considered a non-African lineage, man. You know what? I'm gonna break this down on the rebuttal because that gets into some other stuff there. But again, just talking. This is the previous page still. Like they're talking about a Eurasian backflow. You know how much time I got? Double check this right quick. Yeah, let me do this real super quick. So again, looking at the Eurasian admixture now. So we've looked at the haplogroups now. Now let's look at the admixture, right? Like so, in terms of ancient Egypt. Not only are we finding that the haplogroups being Eurasian, but we're seeing that again, like in the top here in the not Egyptian, going back 28,000 or 2,800 to 2,400 years ago, right? 90% Eurasian, 90% Eurasian. Again, going back 6,000 years in Morocco, 87% Eurasian. 7,000 years in Morocco, 86% Eurasian. Again. Ancient Egyptian, right? 85 to 94% Eurasian. Again, Morocco, again, 3000 BC, 81 to 70, 81. Yeah, 81.75% Eurasian. Again, Tunisian, Carthaginians, 77% to 97% Eurasian. Again, Morocco, going back to the oldest joins we have in Morocco, right? The oldest joints going 15,000 years that we got the DNA for. 46 to 63% Eurasian, fam. And again, we can see on the right in modern times with the Berbers still to this day, the Berbers are in the high 70s, fam, low in the 80s, even 90s, even when it comes to Eurasian admixture. Appreciate you for your time, fam. That's my wrap.
All right. Shout out to Orthodox More. We're going to pass it back to Professor Silky D. This is your second round, round of 15 minutes. So whenever you're ready, you can begin. Silky D.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead. Yeah, Karima, whenever you're ready. Throw me back on the skirt. Throw my presentation, my sources back on the screen so everybody can see them. Feel free to go check those out. Double check them sources. Oh man. Yeah. Go to the next one.
You're up there.
Oh yeah. Take your time. Yeah, there you go, right there. All right, Tom, man, you ready?
You can begin whenever you're ready, bro.
All right, let's get it. Okay, so the multi-regional evolution hypothesis proposes that the various human populations currently inhabiting different regions, such as the Europeans, Africans, East Asians, and the indigenous Australians, each evolved independently into Homo sapiens within their respective regions. Figure 1, approximately 1.7 million years ago, Homo erectus was the first hominid species to leave Africa, dispersing across the Eurasian continent. So what they're telling y'all is you got like it's buku amount of time year gaps by the time Eurasia comes like really getting into play before we get that all set up. Yeah, there you go. We can go on to the next one. Modern, go and roll to the next one, Kramer. There you go. Oh yeah. The revised history of Homo sapiens over the past 30 years. They had to revise it. I'm bringing y'all the latest. This is exclusive. All right. Hot off the press. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, originated in Africa approximately 300,000 years ago. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, me and you. All right. You wouldn't even recognize them if they were standing next to you. So, once again, man, all right, modern humans, Homo sapiens, originated in Africa approximately 300,000 years ago. I love it when I be seeing that 300,000 because you know they're saying that because of the Morocco and whatnot. But you know it is what it is, man. Science, man. You know, live with it and hate it. You know, don't get mad at me. But I mean, you know, all the dots connect. You know, it's the child's play. But I got y'all. Y'all got Suki D here to break it down for y'all. Y'all good. So with the group that left Africa around 60,000 years ago, eventually dispersing across the earth. Second hypothesis is that the Homo sapiens originated in Africa, known as the Out of Africa model, is now widely accepted. However, until the early 1990s, let me bring that back. The hypothesis that the Homo sapiens originated in Africa, known as the Out of Africa model, is now widely accepted. It's all right, I got so I'm gonna show you why it's widely accepted. Okay. However, until the early 1990s, the hypothesis was just one competing model. The alternative was the multi-regional evolutionary model, which was in fact more widely supported. The dominant scientific consensus has undergone a dramatic shift over the past 30 years. You dang right it has. Strong support for the Out of Africa model has emerged from both modern human genome data collected globally and the ancient genome data, including those of Neanderthals, and extensive genome-based analysis conducted thus far overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming. Okay, everybody know, they see it. They just don't want to go. I mean, of course, they can't scream it out. You know, you can't be mad at them for wanting to. You know, they got to produce it, but they can't just be yelling about it like that. Let's go. Yeah, let's go to the next. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so just check this now. So that's 2025. This source is from 2025, Biomed Central. What's up? 2025, current, yeah. Now go back up go back up, Kramer. Yeah, I want them, yeah. We checking, credentials on the source. and current. Biomed, Central, where y'all at? Get your sources together. That's what you need to do. You need to focus on your sources, real sources. I don't want to see none of that. I can't check none of that stuff. I want to see the source. Show me the source. Where I got to look this stuff up at. 2025. All right, go on to the next one, Karima. Yeah, we're cooking with Crisco right now. The study was supported in part by a grant and an aid for scientific research from the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science. This is for a grant. They had no choice but to knock this out the park. And they did it in Japan. This coming from Japan right here. Japan. Yeah, they do what they do. Department of the Biological Sciences, Graduate School of Science, 731 Hongo, Bunkyo, Ku, Tokyo. All right, 1130033 Japan. Stephen Abood, Hiroki Aoda. That's Chinese, it ain't Latin. It might sound like Aoda, like I'm saying hurry up in Spanish, but no, it's Chinese, it's Japanese. And contributed to the South Ho, and the Ho wrote the manuscripts, and Ho approved the final manuscript. Ho said, God dang it, I did this work. I gotta put it out there. I can't not show my work. I mean, I did it. They paid me, I gotta show it. I mean, I can't lie, they're gonna find out. They call me a phony. Then if they call me a phony, then what I'll be? I'll be a disgrace in Japan. I'll have no more honor. Like, he gonna lose him, like, they gonna put the sword to his neck type stuff. Yeah, so Ho approved it. The manuscript, and Ho saw major contributions in the writing of the manuscript. Ho approved the final manuscript. Coral smiled to the Hiroki Aoda. Holla at that boy, that's in Japan. You know what I'm saying? Just scroll there, hit him with the figure. Go to the, roll up. There you go, right there. Sources, real sources. Where the sources at? Don't you ever come to a debate? Now that I know the source. I want to see no more of that. No more of that stuff you showing. Don't show me no more of that. Nah, I don't want to see none of that. None of that cartoon, none of that. Nah, save me. Bring the sources. I want to see where you saw all that stuff that you was saying at. You talked all that and you ain't show none of it. Human dispersal in the East Eurasia, ancient genome sites, and the need for the research on the physical adaptations. Look at the chart. The first line, early Homo sapiens, Africa. Everything else splits off. Journal of Physiological Anthropology. That's the squad. You know what I'm saying? We're in there putting in work. The multi-regional evolution hypothesis. There you go. That's Japan right there. We ain't done. Yeah, right. Go to the one with the circle on it. Got nerd. A couple will come out here. All right, there we go. Yeah, the findings in ancient West African foragers in context of African population history, published January 22nd in the Nature, represents the first ancient DNA from West or Central Africa. What are we talking about, man? The admixture. Yeah, they mixed with Africa with themselves way later. Whoop-de-doo. It's the roots here. Talking about some admixture. You forgot about the first ingredient. That ain't nothing but us watered down later from ourselves. Same root. The study for a product of a collaboration among geneticists, archaeologists, biological anthropologists, and museum creators based in North America, including the Harvard Medical School and University de Montreal, Europe, Royal Belgium Museum of the Natural Sciences, Royal Museum of the Central University, and Liverpool. All kind of, yeah, that's my sources. That's the sources I'm bringing. Don't you ever come out here talking, I wish whatever come out on me about some sources. You show some sources. Yeah, go. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna roll on. Yeah, go on, scroll on up. Yeah, hold on. Now you know what? Go back, no, because I forgot to leave something out on that last one. Go back up, Karima. Yeah, I gotta hit that. I forgot a part. Yeah. So the finest ancient West African foragers in the context. Yeah, go to the one with the circle on it. In the context of African population history, published on January 22nd in the Nature, represents the first ancient DNA of West and Central Africa and some of the oldest DNA recovered from an African tropical context. They enable a new understanding of the deep ancestral relationship among early Homo sapiens in sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, almost, boy. Yeah. That's a study amongst these geneticists right here. That was at the Harvard Medical School. Let's talk medical. We ain't got time to play with y'all. We got to get stuff right. Look at the nerd to come rolling out here trying to, talking about some sources. That is, now go on. Let me see, the emergence going up. All right, did you skip? Let me see. Go back. Why am I going there? You should. I'm gonna just read this one real quick. While the general consensus is that the Homo, find the one that got a picture on it, Karima. It should be one like, there you go, right there with the screenshot, right there, yeah, bet. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, yeah, right there, you good. While the general consensus is that the Homo sapiens, our species, originating in Africa, there's a growing evidence suggesting that their origins may be more complex than a single specific location. And the emergence of the modern humans occurred across the various regions of the continent, including West Africa, rather than solely in the east of South Africa. Yeah, they just don't know where north, south, east, west in Africa. That's the only issue they worried about. But it's in Africa regardless. And not only is it in Africa, it's in Africa for a long time. The emergence of, specific location, the emergence of modern humans occurred across various regions of the continent, including West Africa, rather than solely in East or South Africa. The scientific community agrees that Homo sapiens evolved and emerged in Africa. What more? Y'all say y'all want to know what it means, right? There you go, right? That's what it means for real. That's all that bag of chips. And that all humans allow, the scientific community agrees that the Homo sapiens evolved and emerged in Africa, and that all humans alive today can trace their genetic ancestry back to the African continent. That's the broad consensus. So I don't know what he's out here saying. Show me some sources. Go work on that. Recent research. Yeah, modern humans, regions of Africa. Go on to the next one, Karima. Okay. Africans residing in different geographical regions, as well as African Americans and Europe. Sclerotic disease, vascular function, and genetic epidemiology. Advanced study confirmed that the West and West Central African origins for the majority of the African American participants. 09. Source. So we're going to get to that one. We show sources around here. And other studies based on HVI. You don't even know I'm taking you to medical right now. Yeah, I hit you with medical sources. What's up? Science, medical, anthropology, all that. Harvard, yeah, you see what I'm sources Suki D's bringing. Y'all ever come at me about no things. I'm the source king. Y'all show me what's up with y'all sources. I want to see some sources. Don't show me none of that dark stuff y'all be bringing. I don't see no counterfeit. I can't check that. I want to see the source. Other studies based on HVI sequences have found more than half of their study samples of African American descent to share common haplogroups with African ethnic groups, particularly from West and West Central Africa. The Bandit LL 2001 Solace genotype data for more than 450,000 single nucleotides polymorphisms typed in Africans residing in.
All right. We're going now into the final 15-minute round. We're going to pass the rock back over to Orthodox Moore. All right. Whenever you're ready, Orthodox Moore, this is your last 15-minute round. Timer will begin when you begin your presentation.
All right, fam. This is the rebuttal round for me. My brother has spent 37 minutes focusing on something we agree on and acting like we disagree on the concept. Like, so nowhere am I saying that that mankind does not originate in Africa. I hope he spends a little bit of time going forward on the part where we disagree, because I'm going to keep doing that. And we got a Q&A coming up, my guy. So these the talking points I was able to ascertain from my mans during the debate so far, being that it seemed like a lot of the information was redundant. And he was going over a bit of it, right? So the concept that primates come from Africa, I'm not going to argue the point with you. I completely agree. All humans are descended from Africa. Again, not going to argue the point. 100% agree with the concept. So if any woman on the planet, whether she has an African lineage or non-African lineage, as genetics speaks on it, if she takes a haplogroup test, she's going to go back to haplogroup L. It doesn't matter what her haplogroup is. If you're like L0, if you're a man, doesn't matter what your haplogroup is, whether you have an out of Africa clade or non-African clade or not, your mutation accumulation is going to go back to the origin 100%, right? However, the question is that how science defines things? Again, the same people who brought you the concept of out of Africa are explaining to you that out of Africa equals non-African. That's them explaining. Not Silky, not more, them. Again, he doubled down on the concept of people always remaining African. Now, on the one hand, I'll agree with that, because I'm never going to shake the A00 from my mutation accumulation. My mother, who's A2G, she has a Native American mitochondrial DNA. She's never going to shake the fact that her mutation accumulation goes back to L00, fam. Not going to happen. However, what Silky cannot do is shake the fact that science and geneticists specify that my mother has a non-African clade. Can't do it. Silky falsely claimed that I support the multi-regional theory. I do not, fam. No way, shape, or form. No way, shape, or form. It almost sounded like he was talking like he was back in the multi-regional concept just inside Africa, which was kind of interesting to me. But no, I 100% back the fact that we have our origins in Africa, not a multi-regional concept. That's an anti-African belief system. I don't have that. I'm not an Afrocentrist. I'm an honest I do honest African-centered study. I like to be proud of what's real. I like to understand what's real. I don't want to live in some pie in the sky fantasy where I'm stealing other people's history. That's the whole point of this thing. When you have a fake understanding of the out of Africa concept, you end up stealing other people's history at some point in time, man. Again, he falsely claimed that Africans mixed with themselves later. So again, fam, that's not what geneticists talk about. when the out of Africa people came back into Africa, they call it a back to Africa migration. And that they talk about, again, I showed it on the paper I talked about earlier, where they had out of Africa clades coming back into Africa, right? So that's a different concept. If they were the same, it wouldn't be mixing, fam. If they were the same, it wouldn't be mixing. And this is where we have to have a clear understanding and not falsely conflate the information. Because my man's hearing the fact that there's a common descent in this thing, that we have a most recent common ancestor, and can't shake the fact that the same geneticists that are telling him that are also telling him that, hey, even though we have a recent common ancestor, there's this concept of divergence, meaning people can split off, become their own thing, fam. Not that they lose their descendancy, but they become different than what they descended from. And that's what my man's not recognizing. Again, he falsely claimed that I didn't show any sources. Come on, fam. Not only so you get to show Wikipedia, but if I cite Wikipedia and also show you, I didn't do that. If I show you articles and then cite the articles, I didn't show you anything. Come on, fam. We're not even being realistic anymore, fam. We're just talking because you got lips at this juncture, fam. Again, that's a no true Scotsman fallacy. When a universal all, every, etc. claim is refuted, rather than conceding the point or meaningfully revising the claim is altered by going from universal to specific and failing to give any objective criteria for the specificity. I.e., he doesn't have any real sources. I got the real sources. Therefore, he's not going to deal with anything my sources said, even though I cited all the sources at the bottom of what I was saying, or I directly showed you the source itself. But I didn't show you any real sources. I showed you the same stuff that he showed you. So not only is it a no true Scotsman fallacy, right? So if he shows you Wikipedia, that's cool. If I show you Wikipedia, no, that's not cool. That's called special pleading. That's also a logical fallacy. Again, false equivalence. If I don't agree with what he's saying, that means I have to go against the fact that we originated in Africa. No, I've never said that, not once. Not once. Not once. Not once. Again, a false equivalence, an argument or claim in which two completely opposing arguments appear to be logically equivalent when in fact they are not. The confusion is often due to one shared characteristic between two or more items of comparison in the argument that is way off in the order of magnitude, oversimplified, or just that important. Additional factors have been ignored, which we see here. And with that, we get these false dilemmas, these false choices. That I agree with his version of the out of Africa theory, which is completely off. Again, geneticists don't say you stay African. They say that we have a universal African descent. Completely different concept. Again, I showed multiple times this concept of divergence being mentioned by the geneticists, and also this concept of non-African lineages being mentioned. He's not engaging that in any way, shape, or form. Again, showing as a false equivalence and a false dilemma, because he's saying it can only be either or, but I'm showing a whole other set of choices he's not even willing to engage in. Not even willing to engage in. I asked Silky in our preliminary, when does someone stop being African? He said they don't. This is the Rachel Dolezal doctrine, fam. For y'all who don't know, if y'all remember, Rachel Dolezal was the head of a NAACP chapter in my state, right, in Washington State. She was on the opposite side. She stayed in Spokane, right, and it was found out that she was identifying as Black, but was in fact not African American. Her parents came out and outed her and said, "You know what? No, we don't know why she's doing this. We have no idea why she's doing this." She grew up with Black adopted people in the family. She married a Black dude, etc. She got mixed kids, etc. But at one point in time, she started identifying as Black. And look at what she said. And again, not just identifying as Black, she became the leader, the head of a chapter of the NAACP. The head of a chapter. Not just cosplaying, like doing way more than cosplaying, fam. Way more than cosplaying. But watch what she says, right? Because she's getting interviewed, she's getting pressed, all kind of stuff. Why do you feel like it's okay to do this? Why are you like, again, she received full scholarships to Black universities, right? To Howard, fam. She reported hate crimes as an African American, as a Black person and whatnot. And I know a lot of you are like, well, why does this even matter? Why does this matter? Because my man has the same doctrine. She was accused of misrepresenting her race on an application, identifying as Black when she's not. And this is how she responded to the race question. In response to those who were asking about her race in the wake of her parents' statement, those all said the question is not as easy as it seems, and that there's a lot of complexities to the multi-layered issue. Perhaps her most decisive statement on her background is, we're all from the African continent. So she's making the same claim that Silk is. She's making the same claim. So that's why it's important that. So is she African? Silky, I need to know, is she African? If she is, does she have the right to represent African Americans as the head of an NAACP chapter? Were they wrong for making her step down? Was she wrong for resigning from that position? Should she be able to do so? That's why this is an important conversation, because this should wake you up to the special pleading, because this is what's going on all day with the Afrocentric out of Africa theory, where you get to commandeer other people's cultures and technology, etc., and pretend like it's yours when you had nothing to do with it. And you're not focusing on what you should be proud of, which is what you do come from. Again, you got to answer that, Silky. Is Rachel Dolezal African? You said you don't ever stop being African, and that's not what the geneticists say. So again, I want y'all to see this. This is Silky's slide from when he debated my brother, right? This is his slide. I want you to see the map on this slide, right? This is why we say a pseudo always dies at their own source. Literally, his own slide literally shows a Eurasian back to Africa migration. A Eurasian back migration to Africa from 12,000 years ago. Shows a Neolithic expansion 7,500 years ago. And then shows an Arab conquest, right? In the 7th century. Again, all of these are back to African migrations. But again, he's showing you them on his own slides and trying to front like this did not happen. Again, his own slides. And I appreciate that he's stuck on the anatomically modern humans and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But look at this map on the slide right quick. I want you to pay attention to this map. Oh, there it is. There it is. His own slide shows a Western Eurasian genetic component to Ibero-Maurusians, a turf samples, fam. His own slide shows a Western Eurasian genetic component to Ibero-Maurusians and the turf samples, fam. His own slides do that. He's telling you, I'm not showing you no information. He's not understanding the information on his own slides, fam. And if he does, he's being dishonest. Again, this is the information from his slide, fam. From his Wikipedia article and whatnot, right? Specifies ancient North African samples such as the Paleolithic turf fault dated between 15,000 and 13.9 thousand years before present were found to be composed of two major components: a Holocene Levantine component, again, a Holocene Levantine component, and from an indigenous North African component closely related to basal Eurasians. The turf fault individuals show closest genetic affinity to ancient Epipaleolithic Natufian individuals. Again, I can't be any more clear about this, fam. These are non-African peoples, basal Eurasians, the Tufians, etc. Right? Again, the turf fault individuals bore a 63.5% West Eurasian Levantine related ancestry, and 36.5% sub-Saharan African related ancestry, right? That's almost 2/3 Western Eurasian, fam. 2/3 Western Eurasian. Going down to the women, fam. All the specimens belong to maternal clades associated with either North African or the northern and southern Mediterranean littoral, indicating gene flow between these areas since the Epipaleolithic. The ancient Turfal individuals carried the mtDNA haplogroups U6, H, JT, and V, which points to population continuity in the region dating from the Ibero-Mauritian period, not going back 300,000 years, fam. You know why? Because all these are Eurasian lineages, fam. All of the mtDNA we just mentioned, none of that is sub-Saharan African. Like my man just showed you on his slide, right? Hold on, let me get to it. He just showed you on his own slide. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna kill this one right quick because you mentioned Abjad in your joint, my man, and didn't recognize again that's showing information coming from outside of Africa, right? The oldest Abjad script we have is Phoenician, again coming in from the Levant. But again, he showed you that Africans and African Americans are haplogroup L mitochondrially, right? Not the ones I just showed you there. And with that, family, I say thank you. That's my rant.
That's some piss poor shit.
Peace. My bad, my mic had to be reprogrammed. Shout out to Orthodox Moore for his rebuttal round. We're going into the last 15 minutes. So you have the final say for us with the 15-minute rounds, Professor Silky D. All right. So whenever you're ready, brother, finish them off.
Basically. Karima, take your time. I guess let's get it on up. Let's go. Yes, close it on out. As if we ain't already did that. With you 30. Go to the next one. Yeah, scroll on up. Well, you know what? Stay right there. You good. Yeah, let me read that up again. Yeah, let me kick it back off. Other studies based on the HBI sequence have found more than half of their studied samples of African American descent to share common haplogroups with African ethnic groups, particularly from West and West Central Africa. 01, Salas 2004, genotype data. More than 40,000 nucleotides. This is everywhere, man. These are sources. Real stuff. You had nerve to try to bring them out. You see what my sources kept telling you, right? North Africa, try to play me, try to pull out my story. Yeah. Back migration. Yeah, they nomads. And the Phoenicians come after the Berbers. The Berbers make the Phoenicians. You don't even know that. Go look, y'all, you should know that. That's sad you don't know that. You don't get the Phoenicians without the Berbers. Smart guy. You don't get Carthage, you don't get Phoenicians, you don't get none of them without the Berbers. The Fulani, the Natufian, why you bringing them up? Boy, you need to stop it. Playing with me, man. Yeah, Africans reside in different geographic regions, as well as African Americans and European Americans participating in the atherosclerotic disease, vascular function, and genetic epidemiology. Advanced study confirmed. Advanced study confirmed. As well as African Americans and European Americans participating in the atherosclerotic disease, vascular function, and genetic epidemiology. Advanced study confirmed the West and the West Central Africa origins for the majority of the African American participants. Zaharia, 2009 source from on that, sources. The study population sample in these few investigations of the mtDNA haplogroup diversity in the African American population. 2002. Well, I'll try to tell you. Let's go to the next one. Kramer, go and roll on up. Let me go and put another dagger. Let me go and chop your head off. I'm gonna drop this axe on you every time. 2010, year old. Hold on, look, slow down. Everybody pay attention. The Los Angeles Times, July 10th, 2019 source. Los Angeles Times, holla at your boy. Get your source game up. 210,000-year-old skull in Greece is the earliest sign of modern humans in Europe or Asia. The 210,000-year-old skull in Greece is the earliest evidence of modern humans in Eurasia, and it suggests that they left Africa. They left Africa. And then you got nerve to bring up that girl that was out there pulling that Fugazi stuff. Yeah, she did weasel her way to the top. And yeah, she got, if she had a black dude, I might give her a little slack. She had to have some black babies. But then you got nerve to bring that girl up into this debate and presentation and whatnot like that. Her little emotions and her little trickery ways ain't got nothing to do with it. She don't got to deal with this type of skin. Cops don't mess with her like they mess with us. So no, she can't really have no say-so like that. Shoot, she don't can't get the type of heat we get. It's people, we get real heat. She don't get no heat. Shoot, she can turn that switch on and she good to go around the way because there's structures and walls put up. You know what I'm saying? People be on there, know what I'm talking about. But that ain't got nothing to do with here nor there. You know what I'm saying? She was acting from gays. That's just what happened. But yeah, man, don't bring that. That girl ain't got nothing to do with this, bro. She can't save you. All right, going to the next one, Kareem. There we go. In human genetics. Here we in it. In human genetics, a human Y chromosome DNA haplogroup is a haplogroup defined by the scientific mutations in the non-recombining portions of the DNA in the male specific. The Y chromosome, Y DNA, individuals within a haplogroup share similar numbers of the short tandem repeats, STRs, and single nucleotide polymorphisms, synapse, SNPs. The Y chromosome accumulates approximately to mutations per generation. A root, tree, branch, chip off the old block. All family. One giant root. But when y'all start putting up walls, that's a whole different story on color and things of that type of nature. So don't try to bring that up here today. We way past that. So the Y chromosome accumulates approximately 2 mutations per generation. So of course these generations is gonna change. It ain't twins, it ain't triplets, it ain't quadruplets. Y'all think y'all out here living? What you think? You think you a twin? You think you got a bunch of twins? You a bunch of quadruplets or something? That what you think you are? You not. You on everything, it changed, yeah, it ain't the same, duh. It came from 2 different people. 2 out of 2, then it come from 4. 4 come from 8. 8 come from 16. Infinite, come on, man, stop playing around. You need, boy, yeah, you go get your source game together. Don't ever come back and we get some real, don't ever try to pull my sources either. Try to act like I stand on my sources. I wish you would read them again. The Y chromosome accumulates approximately 2 mutations per generation. And Y DNA haplogroups represent significant branches of the Y chromosome. Phylogenetic tree. The phylogenetic tree is what we're talking about. The tree, the root. You need to praise and bow down to the root. You got the nerve. Shoot. Tell me I'm right. So you see, every time you come on, you say, great, that was a great speech, Silky D. It was a magnificent presentation you put on, dog. That's what you need to be saying if you agree. The Y DNA haplogroup represents a significant branch of the Y chromosomes of a phylogenetic tree, each characterized by hundreds and even thousands of unique mutations. Yeah, duh. It ain't a bunch of incest. Somewhat, but it's like a myth. Like it ain't like you ain't doing it with, yeah, it ain't that close. It's obviously some type of separation, but it don't take much to make a lot. The that part. The Y chromosome, here we go. The human Y DNA follows the gene and haplogroup distribution. phylogenetic tree, and it means thousands of years. The geographical distribution of the haplogroups are shown in the color, geographical color, legend. The Y chromosome, most recent common ancestor, the YMRCA, often referred to as the Y chromosome Adam. And the most recent common ancestor from who all currently living humans are described fraternally, family, root, tree, the science. There you go. The Y chromosome Adam estimates to have lived around 236,000 years ago in Africa. I don't know how many times I got to say that. It's all useful. By examining the population bottlenecks, and most Eurasian men trace their descent from the man who lived in Africa approximately 69,000 years ago. Haplogroup CT. Although Southeast Asia has been proposed that the origin for all non-African human Y chromosomes, the hypothesis that is unlikely. Yeah. Although Southeast Asia has been proposed as an origin for all non-Africans, you coming out here talking about that, non-Africans, Y chromosome, that hypothesis is considered unlikely. Don't make no, stop playing. Wake up. You forgot you come from the Great Ape. That's already 1 million years back. To find out your migrations then. Good luck with that one. Let me know what you come up with. Got the nerve to be coming out here stepping to me. Other bottlenecks, how about it considered unlikely? Other bottlenecks occurred roughly 50,000 and 5,000 years ago. And the majority of the Eurasian men are believed to be descended from the ancestors who lived 50,000 years ago, about whom were descendants of an African lineage. Of an African lineage. There you go. Come on, going to the next one, Karima. Hey, let me know when I got 5 minutes on the clock, too. There we go. Don't take you to China. Let's go back. I'll hit you to Japan. All right, let's go to China. See what Chinese roots lie in Africa. Research. Robert Lee Huss, 98. Most of the population of modern China, 1/5 of all people living today, owes the genetic origins to Africa. China,
5 minutes on the clock.
All right. The team undercuts any claim on humans originated in Italy and China. Yep, they search for human origins or political beliefs and pride can be figured primarily fossils evidence. Yep. All right, let me go and fly on through. Go on to the next one, Kramer. Go and scroll on up. Let me know when I got 2 minutes left. From Science Advance, 2024. From sub-Saharan Africa to China, evolutionary history and adaptation of Drosophila melanogaster revealed by population genomics. That's 2024. Science Advance. Sources. Get your source game up. Going to the next one, Karima. All right, yeah, we're good now. Yeah. All right, let's go. All right, now these last 3 I'm about to hit y'all with, I'm gonna do these in reverse. So just stay with me. Go one more, Karima. All right, mutation of M9. Let me see. Okay, haplogroup K, haplogroup LT. You know what? Yeah, I'm doing these in reverse. Haplogroup LT, L298, P326. Haplogroup L, M11, M20, M22, M61, M185, M295, South Asia, Central Asia, Southwestern Asia, and Mediterranean. Haplogroup T, M70, M184, USP 9Y plus 3178, M193, M272, North Africa, Horn of North Africa, Southwest Asia, and the Mediterranean South Asia, formerly known as haplogroup K2. Haplogroup K, RS, the groups of mutation, M526, haplogroup M, New Guinea, Melanesia, Eastern Indonesia, haplogroup NO, M214, haplogroup M, Northmost Eurasia. That's N, haplogroup O, East Asia, South Asia, South Pacific, South Asia, Central Asia, haplogroup O1, F265, haplogroup O8, 1M119, haplogroup O1B, P31, M268, haplogroup O2, M122. Go to the next one, Kramer. The haplogroup's mutation M168 occurred around 50,000 years ago. Haplogroup C, We on C now. Haplogroup C in 130, Oceania, North Central, East Asia, North America, and minor presence South America, Southeast Asia, South Asia, West Asia, and Europe. Haplogroup YAP haplogroups. Haplogroups DE, M145, M203, haplogroups D, CTTS 3946, Tibet, Nepal, Japan, Andaman Islands, Central Asia, for sporadic presence in Nigeria, Syria, and Saudi Arabia. Haplogroup E, EM996. Haplogroup E1B1A, E38, West Africa, and the surrounding regions formerly known as E3A. Haplogroup E1B1B, M215, associated with the spread of the Afro-Asian languages.
2 minutes.
All right, bet. Afro languages, now concentrated in North Africa and the Horn of Africa, as well as parts of the Middle East and Mediterranean and Balkans, formerly known as E3B. Groups of mutations, M89. Mutation occurred around 45,000 years ago. Haplogroup F, M89, Oceania, Europe, Asia, North, South America. Going to the next one, Grima. All right, this is the finale right here. This is the dagger. See, this is how it starts. This is the beginning of that root right here. This is the beginning of this is where the root starts. I just started at that like kind of in the middle, but this is where it starts at. Groups with mutation M168, haplogroup A, M91, Africa, especially the Khoisan and the Nilotes. Haplogroup B, M60, Africa, especially the Pygmies and the Hazabis. Groups of mutations M168, mutation M168 occurred 50,000 years ago. So remember, we started at 45, 40, now we have 50,000, predating the origins. Haplogroup C, M130, Oceania, North Central, East Asia, North America, and a minor presence South America, Southeast Asia. Haplogroup DE, yeah. Haplogroup A, man, Africa, Khoisan, man. That's the first. That's the root right there. So you can cut this pie all you want. You know what I'm saying? You could come up with we the most diverse place is Africa. You know what I'm saying? That's the root. I done laid it out. Yeah, that's it. That's the genetics right there. Go check them out. It start right there. I really went in reverse for y'all on that last one. But yeah, Silky D, you know what I'm talking about? Bringing you that fire. I kind of was rushing through that one because I was a little checking my time and I had a few. I should have took my time on that stuff, but it's all good though. Like I said, man, haplogroup 8, baby. You know what I'm saying? But the E1B1B associated with the spread of Afro-Asiatic language concentrated in North Africa.
All right. Shout out to both debaters. We're going to head into the question and answering round. We're going to start out with Orthodox Moore. You have 10 minutes to question Silky D. All right. Whenever you're ready.
First question, Silky, how you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing well.
That's what's up. Second question, is Rachel Dolezal African?
Is she African?
Mm-hmm.
What are her parents classified as?
European.
Her parents are classified as white, right? I wish I could get classified as white. I would like to do that.
So is Rachel Dolezal African? Help me understand.
I don't think she's classified as African.
Say what?
I said I don't think she's classified as African.
People don't stop being African.
No, I mean as an African, as in having to deal with America, having to deal with the system.
When did she stop being African?
I'm guessing when her people started keeping it on the bright side. I don't know. You'd have to ask her that.
So in your paradigm, is she African or no? In your paradigm, not what she's saying, but in your paradigm.
In my paradigm, yeah, I'm pretty sure she got African in her. She probably got a whole lot of African in her.
So, do you agree with her when she says that she's African because everyone comes from the African continent?
Do I agree with her on that part? I mean, that's a true statement. That's a true statement on that part. But so it's not. She's not. Yeah, but you're talking about social constructs, man. Like you understand, you're being pseudo. You're trying to mix a social construct with
I'm asking you,
with
I'm
some
asking you
emotions
based
and
upon the out
people working.
Africa theory, which is a paleoanthropological and a genetic theory. Is she African?
Is she African? Not African. Yes, she African, but she ain't African.
So what if she's African based upon the out Africa theory, paleoanthropology, and genetics? What do they mean in genetics when they say a non-African lineage? Like I showed multiple times in my presentation. Like you showed. As a matter of fact, you just showed a slide. You just showed a slide that said this right here. Hold on.
You're going
It
off of
right here. It said, although Southeast Asia has been proposed as the origin for all non-Africans. So what does that mean when they say non-Africans and non-African lineages, man? That was on your slide.
It said it was unlikely, right?
So non-Africans are unlikely?
It said that was unlikely, right? It said the origins were unlikely.
Non-African. What does that mean, Silky? Help me understand.
They said that was unlikely, right?
So in the papers I cited, it says it's unlikely.
They said it was. You're talking about. So now it's your papers now. You were talking about my papers. Now you on yours now. You just that.
So
I know.
It was talking about the origin of a particular haplogroup being unlikely, not non-African lineages. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah, they used to try to.
Okay, so what does it mean by non-African lineage? If you understand the difference, what does it mean by non-African lineage?
Because back in the day, they used to try to be like Europe was the origin.
No, that's the multi-regional concept. So in the out of Africa theory, they determine something that out of Africa equals non-African. What does the non-African lineage represent?
You'd have to ask the people that do the consensus, man, and do all the profiling.
So this is why we had to do the debate, family, because he does not understand the concept. Out of Africa in and of itself means non-African. So now I'm going on to another question. So what does genetic divergence mean?
Admixture?
No. Specifically, the opposite.
Diversification.
Man. My man doesn't understand what genetic. This is a basic definition. So this is in the field of genetics that we're dealing with, right? We're not dealing with social constructs, whatever he's talking about. We're talking about genetics and paleoanthropology. And so this is a basic construct. What does genetic drift mean, brother man?
A different environmental admixture. Duh.
No, that's not what it means. Okay. So how does a population become? How does one population that descended from Africa, like you talked about, how did they become from being brown-eyed and black-haired and brown-skinned to having blue eyes and blue and blonde hair?
You ever heard of a tan? So if you stay in an area and you like keep tanning to the point where you know what I'm saying, you done tan a few shades, and then you have some family members from where you used to be at, and then you moved over where you tanned at, and that area where you tanned at, you had new tanned out babies instead of the area you was at, where you was having kind of like different color babies.
This is legit comical. This is legit comical. Okay. So now I gotta ask you a question. So now I'm gonna go back down. I'm gonna go back down my line because this one was interesting. You said that there would be no Phoenicians without the Berbers. Can you cite one geneticist or paleoanthropologist in the world that says that? Where did you get the information that specifies that you would not get Phoenicians without the Berbers?
Would you care to debate it or something?
Do you have any information to that fact?
I can show you. Yeah, I can show you that. You want to debate it?
Oh, if you need to debate that, I'll gladly do it. But you didn't show anything in your slides, and again, I literally showed in my slides that what you're talking about concerning, like you were talking about the Berbers having an Abjad script, right? The Libico-Berber script and whatnot, right? And then I showed that the oldest Abjad was a Phoenician script. Again, showing an out of Africa introduction of technology and information into Africa. Do you disagree with this or no?
You're talking about Abu Marasia. Do you even know what that means?
No, I no, I didn't even mention Iberian immersion. No. Do you reject the fact? Do you reject the fact that any Abjad script is an out of Africa piece of technology?
What the Ajaz script? Oh yeah.
If
That's
the oldest
one.
Abjad script is Phoenician, in which I show the Phoenician are largely Eurasian, and again, Phoenicia is not even in Africa, right? That's in Canaan and whatnot, right? So is the Phoenician Abjad script, is that an African script or a non-African script?
The Phoenicians were seafarers, right?
Is that an African script or
nomads.
non-African script, sir? I need you to answer my question.
All scripts are African.
See,
You saw the root.
and this is what we're seeing, fam. So we're like, he's literally being Rachel Dolezal trying to run the NAACP by claiming everybody else's technology versus accepting the fact that it's not from them. That it came from the outside into Africa, not from Africa outside. So I'm gonna keep on going. Keep on going. Why is the ancestral Berber component considered as a result of a back migration to Africa and largely Eurasian? In 2 debates, you have not answered this, sir.
When are you going to show that? You know what? I'm pretty sure plenty of my slides
I showed it
will
already.
say that they've always been there. Have you ever heard of the North African indigenous gene? Have you ever even heard of that?
And so why is that again? So why is that component considered as a result of back to Africa migrations and largely Eurasian, sir?
Okay.
Why do the same geneticists that bring you the out of Africa theory say that the ancestral Berber component is considered as a result of a back to Africa migration and largely Eurasian? Why do they say that, sir?
They populated everything. What are you saying? Are you
what was that? I didn't hear you. What was that? What was that?
You didn't pay attention to none of my presentation at all. So
in your presentation, you did not. In your presentation, you did not cite one single solitary geneticist that refuted the concept that the ancestral Berber component is considered as a result of a back to Africa migration and largely Eurasian. This is 2 debates. This is 2 debates. This is 2 debates you failed at. Hey, you talking on my time. You talking on my time. This is 2 debates you failed to answer this question. So I'm going to ask you right now, do you have one single solitary geneticist that refutes this concept that the ancestral Berber component is considered as a result of a back to Africa migration and largely Eurasian? Just one. My head on the chopping block. Just one.
Yeah, because you don't have no source. Get out of here. Show me a source to say what you say. I want to see your source.
I cited it in my debate. So did you shoot. So again, we're doing a truth conference, right? We both cited. Daniel Schreiner, 2014.
Well, Nick Longridge, 2023.
So does it say that the ancestral Berber component is not as a result of back to African migration and largely Eurasian?
What are you talking about?
No, it doesn't. And there you go, falsely conflating the information. You're talking on my time. You're talking on my time. And again, family, we're seeing that he's falsely reading the information and falsely conflating the information and giving a false premise based upon that. If you're off by a little bit at the beginning, you'll be off by a lot at the end. Thank you, family. That's my time.
You got some nerve. Okay, so it's on me, right?
Yep.
On my 10. All right. Now, where does the European component originate from? The European DNA, where does it originate from?
Basal Eurasians.
The European comes from the Basal Eurasian.
Yeah, so like I showed very clearly in my presentation that everything that's south in terms of everything is below CT, and like you said, like you showed everything that's below. I'm answering the question. That everything that's below CT is considered out of a non-African clade.
Hey, you're on my time. You're on my time. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
I'm answering your question.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. If you don't want to be honest, it's fine. So.
I'm not being honest. I did not show in that paper about DO that all those clades that I just mentioned are not African clades.
Hey, you're on my time right now. All right, yeah, have some decorum. So the Amazigh that speak indigenous language from North Africa. Are you saying that that language that's tribal originates from Europe?
No, I didn't say that anywhere in my debate.
So you're saying they're indigenous to North Africa, correct?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
So where are they from?
you failed to mention, like you failed to address in 2 debates
Stop.
that they're as a result of a back to Africa migration.
That's a yes or no question. So you're saying no. So where are they from then? They're from Europe. So you're going back to Europe. So you're saying the Amazigh come from Europe now. The Amazigh tribe in all of North Africa, the Berbers from Morocco to Egypt, they all come from Europe. That's your answer. Do you stand on that?
I'm saying that as a result of a back to Africa migration.
Yes or no?
Eurasia, 100%.
Yeah, yes. So they're all Eurasian. Everybody in North Africa, Libya, Mali,
no, not everybody.
Egypt.
Not everybody.
They're all. So now not everybody. You got some nerve, man, to come out here with this. So the Amazigh language, that's a Berber language that's spoken in in Africa. You know that you are aware that it originates from Africa, correct? The Amazigh language. Have I challenged the Amazigh language anywhere? Well, I mean, the people originate from Africa, correct? That has absolutely nothing to. So no, again. All mankind has their origin in Africa, right? But the ancestral Berber component is as a result of a back to Africa migration and is largely Eurasian, which is why I showed you all again when we looked at all the bodies and the mummies, etc., and all the sites that we could find DNA with, right? All the women were Eurasian, right? Again, the admixture said that even in Morocco, in the Turfal people, they were 2/3 Eurasian. Okay, yeah, whatever. All right, let me ask you something now. Do you know what how the multi-generation genes work? Do you know how the generation mutation genes work? Do you understand how that works? Mutation accumulation, yes, I understand the concept. From generations. Do you understand what generations mean? Do you know the definition of generations? Enlighten me, just in case I don't know. No, I'm asking you, so you don't know. Okay, yeah, so generations are when generation is a span of time of reproduction. A span of time of reproduction, yes, that's kind of decent for everybody at home. It's when your parents got together and they made you the next generation, and you're not a twin. You're a mix of the two. They call that admixture. Same roots though, from way up. They just splitting, coming back and mixing it up. We got flavors, Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. So the people in Asia, you're saying the people in Asia, they don't come from Africa? So all mankind descends from an out of Africa migration, right? So people in Asia, everyone that's outside of Africa. Whoa, you're saying yes or no? All mankind that's outside of Africa descends from an out of Africa migration. So 100%. I showed you my slide. I'm answering your question. Let me answer your question. I showed you. Did you see that in my presentation? Did you see those sources? Anybody you test in Tokyo. Anybody you test in Tokyo. Did you see the Harvard? We're talking about generations and genes. Anybody you test in Tokyo, right? Whether male or female. Their mutation accumulation on their sex chromosomes is going to go back to Africa. 100%. Yeah, that's how the generation. You're good. You're in my time. Did you see my medical sources? Did you see those in my presentation? Sure did. Oh, did you see all the year ranges I was grabbing these sources from? I saw you trying to grab sources 100%. At any point in time, have I disagreed in this debate about Africa being the origin of mankind? Did you see the medical sources that I pulled? Did you see how many medical sources I pulled? That's a trick play for y'all. I looked at every slide. Get into it. Go to the medical. What was that? So, do you know what the Abu Marasia? Do you know what that even stands for? Abu Marusian. You got to say it right. Do you know what it means?
Yes, the Ibero-Mauritian is an ancient it's a population group.
What does it mean? Okay, what's the definition? Okay, well, let me just clarify. So you don't know what it means.
Hold on, Ibero-Mauritians are a group of people that
Okay, we're good. Let me. You don't know what it is. I'll tell you everybody
that have a highly Eurasian
admixture. You're on my time.
And a very
you're good. You're on my time. It's all right. Cut it. So the Ibero-Mauritian people. For everybody who don't know what Ibero-Mauritian people is, because we can't have people out here not educated. Ibero-Mauritian means you're on my time, man. You're on my time. It's the Ibero-Mauritian, whatever. Ibero-Mauritian. That means the Iberian Peninsula and Mauritania as one, ruled together. That's what that means.
You got to during what period of time?
Obviously from Mauritania and Carthage on. You're on my time. Don't ask me. Hey, no, I'm asking you. Tell me what period of time. You go smart at. You tell me what period.
Hey, Yeshub, Ibero-Mauritian.
What period did Carthage come about? Okay, who founded Carthage?
The Carthaginians.
This guy. So the Moors are Berbers, correct?
Partially, yeah.
So and the Berbers and all of them come from Africa, right?
When the Moors went into Spain, they came from Africa 100%.
So even the Moors that came from Spain were African. So the Spaniards that came from the generations that came from them would be what?
Some of the Moors had North African lineages. 5% had sub-Saharan African lineages, and the vast majority, the absolute vast majority, had Eurasian lineages.
Okay, where am I? Okay, yeah. Now, do you understand what the word generation means?
Yeah, we covered that one already.
Okay, that means it's offspring. So you're going to have different DNA. It's going to mutate a little bit depending on where you at with the mixture of the hair.
From your father? Do you think that it's possible for you to have a different haplogroup than your father?
You're on my time, man. You're on my time. So the North African gene, do you know what that means? The indigenous North African gene, do you know what that means?
Mm-hmm.
What's it mean?
So it means you don't know what you're talking about. So they have something called the Berber haplogroup, right? And then they have something called
Can I get a name? So it's Berber.
They have a Berber component.
You're on my time. You're on my time.
They have a Berber component, which for two debates, you have not been able to show anything other than as a result of back African migration.
You're on my time. Have some decorum. So the Berber Amazigh, are they from Africa? Yes or no?
They are from a back migration to Africa.
So the North Indigenous Berber gene, yes, you're saying comes from Europe?
The ancestral Berber component is largely Eurasian and is a result of a back to Africa migration, like the Shub showed you and like I showed you from Daniel Schreiner.
Okay, y'all don't understand science. Yeah, that means y'all are the relations. Y'all are the ancestors. Y'all are the later roots. That's all that means.
But what y'all? Who's the later roots? What y'all?
So you just once again you missed everything.
What are you talking about? I have no idea. I have no idea who you're talking to right now.
Like I show you all these sources. I show everybody all this stuff, and they still can't. Well, I tell you, don't make no sense. The origins of Japan Tokyo people. Where are they from?
So you have different ones, right? Like so, the ones that are descended from like haplogroup D or whatnot, right?
I showed it in my presentation. I literally showed you the highly accredited source with the people that out there in Japan, letting you know the origins.
Okay, if you want to get just real simple with it, they're from an out of African migration, right?
Time. Shout out to both debaters. We're gonna go ahead and close this thing out. Do y'all do closings or?
Yeah. We've got a 5-minute closing.
All right, 5 minutes to the Orthodox Moor. Whenever you're ready, brother, you could begin your closing.
Ready. Share my joint right quick. Here we go. So yeah, family. Again, in addressing my premise from this whole thing, because as the affirmative, the person who went first, what I gotta say really matters in this whole thing, right? So I'm talking about the same things we agreed on, right? That the out of Africa theory posits that mankind originated in Africa and migrated out of Africa roughly 70,000 years ago and diverged into a multitude of distinct non-African peoples. Again, you heard my man trying to refute that everybody just stays African. Even Rachel Dolezal's African still, fam. Remember that. Even Rachel Dolezal's still African. Geneticists say otherwise. Geneticists say that out of Africa literally equates to non-African lineage. I showed you that in my presentation. Premise 2, the out of Africa theory supports the concept of Eurasian back to Africa migrations to Africa 30,000 years ago, etc. Right? Again, my man doesn't want to encounter this in any way, shape, or form. He literally showed you slides in his own presentation that talked about back to Africa migrations 15,000 years ago. But he doesn't want to accept it at all. At all. Much less does he want to accept the fact that the Berbers, like he keeps harping on, for 2 debates, for 2 full debates, he couldn't answer one source, or at least bluff his way around it. Couldn't even bluff his way around it. But the source says what it says, that the ancestral Berber component is as a result of a back to Africa migration and largely Eurasian. Premise 3, many African populations verifiably either directly descend from these Eurasian back to Africa migrations or show heavy admixture from these back to Africa migrations events, including Berbers, Egyptians, Carthaginians, and Moors. I showed that emphatically. I showed the bodies, I showed the dates, I showed their haplogroups, and I showed their high admixture. 70, 80, 90% admixture Eurasian. Cannot be denied. My guy wants to say I didn't show a real source. He can rest his laurels on a true Scotsman's fallacy all he wants to, but he's just making a fallacious argument, not a real one that you should be proud of or stand on or tell your kids about. Conclusion, the out of Africa theory does not support the notion that either everyone is African, again, descends from Africa, one thing, is African, completely different, or does it defend Silky's 300,000-year Berber continuity paradigm? It's not there. The out of Africa theory does not agree with him in any way, shape, or form in those concepts. Again, counter premise, the Afrocentric out of Africa theory falsely posits that when mankind left Africa, they remained African genetically and did not diverge into distinct non-African people groups. This is what you kept hearing my man say all night. This is why this is why Rachel Dolezal is still African to him, man. Still African to him. Premise number 2, the Afrocentric out of Africa theory falsely claims that North African civilizations built by Egyptians, Carthaginians, Berbers, and Moors are not Eurasian, but African genetically. Again, is there North African components? 100%. Not tripping on that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, my people, my E1A people, contribute to the North African components. Not even tripping on that concept, right? But the issue is are there large, huge swaths of Eurasian ancestry and components in this thing? Yes. And people keep putting their heads in the sand like they're ostriches. You can't do that, fam. You gotta recognize the realness in this thing, fam. Premise 3, the Afrocentric out of Africa theory falsely rejects culture and technology back migrating into Africa along with Eurasian gene flow. Again, my man did not want to accept the fact that Abjad scripts came from outside of Africa in any way, shape, or form. Everything came from Africa. You heard him reaffirming the Afrocentric out of Africa theory all day. Conclusion, the Afrocentric out of Africa theory is built on false premises, and so is Silky's 300,000-year Berber continuity paradigm. It just is. On its face, based upon what he said. Questions that I asked, again, is Rachel Dolezal African? After dancing around, he wanted to have it both ways. Well, yes, but no, but yes, but no. Fam, which one is it? I asked him on the paradigm. He said yes on his paradigm. I said, well, that's not what the geneticists say. Geneticists say that there's a concept of out of or non-African lineages. Again, he didn't answer the question about genetic drift, genetic divergence, or non-African lineages all night, fam. All night. Again, he wants to claim everybody's African, and that is not the case. With that, family, that is my time. I appreciate y'all. Hope you enjoyed the debate. Appreciate y'all for supporting. Peace and love, fam.
All right, shout out to the Orthodox Moor. Professor Silky, you got the last word. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your closing, brother. You got 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, let me go ahead and get it going. Yeah, y'all see those sources I dropped tonight. And you bringing, Joshua got handled by me more than once. So yeah, I'm tired of killing him. He won't step to me. If you want to see me on, we could debate, do the Berbers predate Carthage or found a Carthage? Since you want to harp on Carthage, we could debate that. Let me know, you know what I'm saying? Y'all see what I showed, all right? Everything I showed was backed up by everything all over the place. That's how you debate. That's how you pull sources. That's how you really show your point. You know what I'm saying? You draw everything from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I brought y'all the best of the best. Medical, Harvard, 2025. Stop playing with me. You step your source game up, what you need to do. Don't ever talk about my source. You need to be focusing on your stuff. Big time. Shoot, that stuff is mediocre to me. Y'all got the nerve to step in front of me. You ain't showing not one source talking about Berbers come from Eurasia. Yeah, they come way later after they populate everything. You come in way late. You ain't talking about nothing from way back. That's some way late current stuff is what you talking about. You're not talking about really nothing older at all. You're talking about way later admixtures. And that's just generation we're mixing all over. A whole melting pot of Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. But yeah, it's your boy Silky D, man. You know what I'm talking about, bringing y'all that hot fire. It was a good debate, you know what I'm saying? I feel great about it, you know what I'm talking about? Hey, for the motherland, we're going to do this one for the home team, you know what I'm talking about? Like I said, y'all see the sources Silky D bringing. Y'all want to go there, go there. You feel me? This is what I present. This type of stuff I'm bringing to the table. I can't even check half of his sources. Because you don't know what they are, where they coming from. He just steady making stuff up. Show some sources. Every source I showed what it was. Showed it was in my first. So origins Africa. This from Africa. That from Africa. Over this side of the world, Africa. Over here, that side of the world, Africa. This prestigious school, Africa. That prestigious scientist, Africa. That prestigious archaeologist, Africa. That for everybody. Like, stop playing, man. Yeah, Silky D, man. Yeah, y'all know I ain't nothing to play with around here. Y'all already know you step in the ring with me. You gonna get that work. Shoot, I ain't about to play around with you at all. Shoot, Africa on the mat. You know what I mean? We had to do it one time for the African. I ain't care. Yeah, I had to have this debate. We can have that debate all day long. I ain't tripping to rep Africa, and I got a whole lot more. Don't ever try me. I'll stay loaded, especially when it comes down to that. Yeah. Then you trying to bring up the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were seafarers. The Berbers are all that area, Mauritania, Abu Ghraib, all that's the Phoenician area, Levant, all that. And around all Eurasia, the old world, go look at the old world. That's Africa, Asia, and Europe, all as one, but that was all considered Africa. Shoot, they even stop playing, man. Yeah, you got a long way to go, bro. You got a long way to go for everything you're making on Silky D level. I you're working on sources. Get that in your head. Working on sources. Don't everybody out there working y'all sources. Stop coming out here with them sources we can't check. I want to be able to look at something, go find it, go check it out myself. I want to go look at it on my own computer. Sure, I don't want to just go off whatever you done typed up, whatever you done doctored up, whatever you done cooked up. Nah, bring some sources. We'd like to see them. Yeah, man. Silky D, you know what I'm talking about, on top, baby. Undisputed, always bringing the heat. You know I ain't coming to play around. Y'all see I'm loaded with sources all through my rounds. Ain't no yielding over here. You know what I'm talking about? Timed it out perfect. All those sources right there, they all was in my favor. They all showed what it was. Supposed to be out of Africa, right? Well, whoop, there it is. There it go, right there, right in your face. You know what I'm talking about? You ain't got to read the whole book, know the story, baby. You know what I'm saying? That's the root. That's where it goes. Even a Chinaman told you that. I got Harvard to tell you that. I got the medical field to tell you that. True, I got science, the whole consensus to tell you that. The community to tell you that. I brought everybody together just to tell everybody that this out of Africa stuff is real. You know what I'm saying? Everything else would be unlikely. It would be asinine. You talk about mega years way later, after a bunch of admixture to get your admixture that you're talking. You know what? In my last 3 slides, yeah, you can't even comprehend. I literally dropped the numbers in the DNA. It went from 50,000. You was only at 40. We're at 45. Y'all ain't at 50,000. There's a whole 10,000 gap in between y'all stuff. For you to get your admixture, go learn genetics. Holler at your boy. I can give you a lesson. Go learn about the chromosomes, all that. The mitochondria. Go learn all that. Yeah, Sugar D can give you a lesson. Yeah, I'll take you down the genetic lane. Let you know how that works. Okay? So that stuff comes after. Down the line. Later. Okay, but the root.
All right. That's the time. Shout out to both debaters. It was a very powerful and interesting debate. I kind of glanced at the chat. It's kind of mixed reviews on who they felt as though won the debate. So both of y'all obviously did a great job in presenting your information. Shout out to both debaters. Looking forward to seeing another debate with both of you guys. You know, you brought information, and it was very edifying and very interesting to listen to what you guys present in your arguments. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Karima and allow her to close it out.
Big shout out to Karima for holding us down tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the like out the door, in the door, when you come in, out the door, whatever. Thanks for tuning in, though.
I'll praise you, Most High. Yeah, that sound good, y'all. Hello. What we doing?
Hey, cook that up, Khalid.
We still getting to the money, got these haters in they feel. Little homie, let them chill. Most I told me, finches hit my enemies, my footstools. We ain't got no beef for real. Just here, this how we live. Look here, homie, we still getting to the money, got these haters in they feel. Little homie, let them chill. Most I told me, finches hit my enemies, my footstools. We ain't got no beef for real. Just here, this how we live. Look here, homie, be still. They said you got the call, they trying to blackball you. Play what they own, bro. You can't blackball a boss. The whole world, they hate this right here. The way you hate your neighbor, might as well pull the trigger on yourself. You know we get excited by the smoke. Every day we catch the flesh. Save my treasure stored in heaven, we gon' blow the rest. They disrespecting and we check the bank that causing kept it still. They asking others about my business, but I ain't got no instant messy. I still deal with ox direct, cause your person don't mean you respect. Your outlet don't get no credit if the ox ain't in it. Money answer all things, and you got all these questions. Playing Vic. Look, I employ slavery. If you broke, you say it. Yeah, them crews in the hood, Jews in the hood. I caught them clues, now I'm good. I broke it down, he understood my all to you. Filtered through, you found a few, I'm good. We wrote, we sold, this here exclusive. They like, hey, folk, look what you do. We still getting to the money, got these haters in they feel. Little homie, let them chill. Most I told me, finches hit my enemies, my footstools. We ain't got no beef for real. Just here, this how we live. Look here, homie, we still getting to the money, got these haters in they feel. Little homie, let them chill. Most I told me, finches hit my enemies, my footstools. We ain't got no beef for real. Just here, this how we live. Look here, homie, I still. Most I told me, be still, give a room to work. Know my movie work. If faith ain't good, don't put the work in. In the spirit flexing, that my day job. Get in the mode out my own, I don't know what they are. Oh, I got the blueprint, and I'm too legit to quit. Let it spark in the dark, be a light, got the lead, trying to map my movement. Got my haters pondering. The odds set the question there. They wanna know if you still live. It hit different, you authentic. A lot of odds pretending. We do it for the Lord. Got my own motion. Who are you to judge? The most high first, none above. In the spirit, we locked in. They'll come against your plot. You know Judas said, yeah. We spit them scripts that barely now. Came on slave ships and you not black. You know they tell you everything. Isaiah 30:20, yeah, we bad. You see what happened when they tried to wear the train up off the chair. False witness, hypocrite. We throw shots back, now they feel heat. Must go get it. We still get to the money. Got these haters in they fear. Look homie, let them chill. Most I told me, finches here. My enemies, my footstools. We ain't got no beef for real. Just here, this how we live. Look here, homie, we still get to the money. Got these haters in they fear. Look homie, let them chill. Most I told me, finches here. My enemies, my footstools. We ain't got no beef for real. Just here, this how we live. Look here, homie, be still.
Peace, peace, peace. What it is, fam. Appreciate y'all for coming through. I'm opening the panel up for anybody who wants to come through and give their 2 cents on what they just saw and heard. Definitely going to be giving my review on the thing real quick. But yeah, let's do it like this. If y'all think your boy Orthodox Moore won that debate, throw a 1 in the chat for me right quick. If you feel like your man Silky did his thing, throw the 2 in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Sean Harris in the chat. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I thought that was interesting at the end. Brother man, he was talking about he wanted to give me a lesson on DNA. So I might have to accommodate him on that one because I'm curious to see what that one looked like. I'm curious to see what that one looks like. But shout out to the Lions Den Debate League for hosting that debate on their platform. Shout out to Solomon for coming through and guest hosting that debate because JJ was not able to make it for whatever reason. And definitely shout out to Silky for showing up in upholding his position or whatnot. I know for a lot of people they had a hard time taking him serious or whatnot, but I 1,000,000% appreciate him because this is an important concept that needs to get dealt with head on. And that again is the concept of the out of Africa theory versus the Afrocentric out of Africa theory. And like I showed in the debate, the brother holds to the Afrocentric out of Africa theory and not the actual out of Africa theory itself. And like I spoke on in the debate, the importance on understanding that is let me do this like this. The importance of understanding that is, so you run the risk, and not just run the risk, you're going to, at some way, shape, or form, in some place, you're going to steal someone else's history. And this is what Afrocentrists do. Instead of letting world history be what it is, it's all African history, and that's what makes it Afrocentrist. And so I said in the debate, I'm not an Afrocentrist or Afrocentric. I'm an honest African centered study. Like I do honest African centered study, right? That means I want to know the realness about what's going on in Africa, not the fake, not the fantasy, but the realness, right? And for like when I was younger, I used to uphold the Afrocentric out of Africa theory. I was one who thought that all civilization started in Africa and then was seeded out to the world from Africa, right? I had to learn, there were some things correct about the Afrocentric out of Africa theory, but there were some things very incorrect about it, right? That no, not all civilization came from Africa in terms of like what we're talking about in terms of technology, culture, skills, etc. Right? Not all of it came from Africa. I used to be one who thought like I got the Runoka Rashidi books. I got the Ivan Van Sertima books. I used to be the one talking about like If you want to be a good samurai, you got to have a drop of black blood in you. You know what I'm saying? Like all that kind of stuff, right? I used to think that the Shah and the Shang dynasty were originated by African peoples and whatnot, right? I used to be on that. And then I learned more. And then I grew in my understanding. I was able to falsify said beliefs and whatnot, specifically with genetics. Specifically with genetics. I mean, that's how this whole debate came about, right? Is listening and watching my man Yeshua from Yap. Shout out to Yeshua and shout out to Yap. Debating other brothers, including this brother here, on largely genetic concepts. He debated this brother on do the Eurasians, do the Berbers predate the Eurasians? And you see here, my man was trying to chop and screw all kind of stuff. He was trying, he wanted the Berbers to be 300,000 years old, and at the same point in time, wanted them to begin in Carthage. Craziness, absolute craziness. It's stuff like that, like why, like. That's exactly why this debate is important. Getting things like that straightened out, because there's a lot of assumptions that people have that they have not proven out. And when you prove them out, they don't shake out, fam. They definitely don't shake out. There's a lot of the Afrocentric stuff that does not shake out. Some of it does. Like, again, I'm not going to argue with an Afrocentrist on the origin of mankind being in Africa. I'm not arguing that. I agree with that 100%. I'm not going to argue with an Afrocentrist on the whole world being black at one point in time. Not doing that. The science agrees at one point in time the whole world was dark skin. That light skin is a very recent concept. But what I'm going to keep pushing back on is when Afrocentrists use the Rachel Dolezal doctrine in reverse, right? When you start claiming everything as being African and not giving people their proper honor and due respect. So, for instance, like my man Silky could not, for anything, acknowledge that an Abjad script is not native to Africa. That it was something introduced to Africa, right? Didn't want to acknowledge that agriculture was introduced to Africa, right? Does that make Africa any less the birthplace of mankind? No. None whatsoever. Does that make Africa somehow less intellectually competent? No. Not in any way, shape, or form. It just means they didn't create everything and give everything to the world. It just means you have to now have a realistic view of things that people left Africa and came back with information that was not in Africa. And gave it to Africa. Just like there's things that Africa gave to the world. There's things that the world also gave to Africa. There's nothing wrong with admitting that. Nothing wrong with admitting that. And just like someone would be mad at a Eurocentric concept of looking at the world, there's everything wrong with looking at it through an Afrocentric lens to where you're erasing other people's legitimate history and culture. Just so you can feel like you have one. And what's crazy about it is instead of usurping somebody else's culture and technology and history and all that kind of stuff, you can easily go to the parts of Africa that you come from and find stuff to connect yourself to on that level. Anyone who can tell me about these, China was started by Africans and the Andamanese Islanders are Africans and Japan's are African, Japanese people are African. Anybody coming at me with this stuff, they can't tell me nothing about West African history and culture. Literally can't tell me nothing about it. And nothing in modern times. We're not going to be talking about nothing that came off the slave ships culture-wise. None of that type of stuff, man. Why? Because they're living in a fantasy land. They're supplanting reality with this fantasy instead of living in reality, which is sad. Because you can see people have a sincere love for Africa. You can see they sincerely want to connect to it. I remember I was there. I had the same concept, man. And then I ran into people I respect, like Dana Marnichi Reynolds, who helped me piece a lot of stuff together information wise, or who I saw who, for instance, would use DNA, but would use it properly, right? We're talking about lineage. We're talking about admixture. We're talking about migration, etc. with this stuff, right? I met other people who knew more than me on certain stuff, who I had no issue asking questions to. Older, younger, all that type of stuff, right? Because my thing is like, so I want to be able to tell my, like, so if somebody who comes from descendants of the slave ship, right, who had aspects of my history that got muddy, that I needed to clear up, I want to be able to give the generation behind me something firm they can stand on. Something firm they can stand on. Not a fantasy. Not a fantasy. Fantasies ain't for real, fam. And the kids coming behind us deserve way better than that. Because we live in an era where we can actually clear up the muddiness, fam. We can find out what we don't know. We can find out where we connect to Africa. We can find out what we connect to in Africa, right? The peoples, all that type of stuff. We can go through this history thing and verify a lot of stuff, and again falsify many claims. Many claims. I got no issue acknowledging the people that preceded me in like the Afrocentric era and whatnot, and like in the 80s and 90s and whatnot. Super hard, early 2000s, super hard, to where they was off the John Henry Clark stuff. They was off the Ivan Van Sertima stuff, the Renoka Rashidi stuff. They was off the Theophilo Banga. They was off the Sheikh Anta Diop. They was off the John G.M. Jackson. You know what I'm saying? All that type of, bruh. I'm not tripping. I got all them books on my shelf. All of them. All of them. With bent pages and all that, because I've been through them like that. You know what I'm saying? Going back to Drusilla Dungy Houston. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Queen. And the wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Kushite Empire, whatever. I think that's what, off the top of my head, that's what the book's called. Yeah. Got all the books on my shelf, man. Not mad at it. But what I am mad at is having an unrealistic view of history that I can't give to the people behind me. Because I'm someone who sincerely loves Africa, right? And sincerely loves the history I connect to. And what I can't stand is not being able to give that actual real history to people, because I got to sift through and erase and disprove this fake pseudo history people keep putting out. And then I also got to deal with this fake counter argument. Oh, well, you're anti-African. No, I'm not anti-African. I'm very pro-African. I'm anti this fake African stuff you keep pushing. Because when you keep pushing it, A, you're not holding on to our actual history. And B, you're stealing somebody else's history. You're out here pulling the Rachel Dolezal demonstration, fam. Looking just as crazy as Rachel Dolezal, don't understand it. Looking just as crazy as Rachel Dolezal and don't understand it. So, for instance, when we go do when we make these claims, for instance, like that the Shah and the Shang dynasty in China were originally Black African peoples, etc., whatnot, and we go check out the actual we actually try to go falsify this thing, right? We go through everything we can to prove it wrong, like a good scientist is supposed to do after you put up a hypothesis, right? We see that claim falls apart on its face in multiple directions. But to say the least, just genetically, it gets proven wrong. And Yashub did that one beautifully on his debate with the brother on that topic. He did something real similar here with the brother when it came to Eurasians and Berbers and whatnot, right? I try to meet him on a real simple plane and be like, hey, this is this concept of what non-African lineages are. Like, out of Africa literally equates to non-African lineages in the world of genetics. Just trying to keep it super simple, right? And again, not disagreeing with the fact that we all universally descend from Africa, but recognizing the concept of divergence from Africa. Very, very important, fam. Man, let me try to catch up to some of this stuff right quick. Go to Messenger. I used to hold Afrocentrism, but letting it go just made me more interested in researching and piecing out sub-Saharan African history and civilization. 100%. Exactly. 100%. It's honestly been really fulfilling. Exploring political systems in particular has been really enlightening. One, fam, I know exactly what you're talking about. So like, exactly. Like, so, and what's beautiful about it is the more you understand the history. So I used to be one that bought the assumption that we lost everything coming off the slave ship, because that's something that they tell you in Afrocentrism. Oh, we restricted everything. The white man took everything from us. No. Nothing can be further from the truth. And what's crazy is we got an oral tradition that's written down, which is crazy. No one knows about it. We got a beautiful oral tradition from like the Gullah Geechee people, from people who were 100 some odd years old, you know what I'm saying, during the Civil War times or whatnot, breaking down from then to the 30s and 40s to now, son, breaking down traditions and whatnot that we can literally trace back to Africa and these governing systems and political systems being spoken of right there, right? And we have no idea how much of this history is actually there that we can connect to. That's what I'm going to be trying to dedicate my channel to going forward in a lot of ways. In a debate and dialogue platform I'm trying to create, is trying to really shed light on the real history versus the pseudo history, right? Afrocentrism, I can understand. I'm not hating on it, right? Because I understand what happened, like what it was. It was an emotional reaction to some stuff that allowed it was filling the gap for people, right? It was filling in a hole to where people were feeling inferior about their history. They made themselves feel superior about the history. They took it too far. And what you need is just to be proud about where you come from and be honest and real about that, right? There's no need to make stuff up. No need for the pie in the sky thing. There's no need to suspend belief. The history is a beautiful story. The real history is like there's ugly parts to it, 100%. That's the human story. That there's ugly parts to our existence, right? But we're missing the actual beautiful parts, right? We're missing the actual beautiful parts. Hold up. I agree completely. It's realizing there's nothing to feel inferior about. 100%. Absolutely nothing, fam. Yo, I come from people who were speaking 7 languages coming off a slave ship, bro. What I got to feel inferior about? You understand what I'm saying? I come from people who were more literate than the people who were enslaving them, just in another language. What I got to feel inferior about? Nothing. Absolute nothing. And what's crazy is the Afrocentrists can't tell you anything about these cultures that were like that coming over. Instead, and I feel bad because they jumped the immediate history to go way off into ancient history and start filling in the gaps to modern times. It's like, yo, I'm not mad at you, but like, yo, I mean, you're selling out your own history doing so. You're stepping over your own history to do it. And start saying, we are these people, and this is us over here. You're the Shah and the Shang dynasty in China, fam? Huh? On the human level, sure. In terms of humanity, got you. Yeah, that's us. But in terms of your lineage and where you come from and your people's history, whatnot, no, you're not the Shah and the Shang people from Dynasty, fam. That's not you, fam. That's not what this is. You're not telling me nothing about the Western Sahel. You're not telling me nothing about Southwestern Africa. None of that type of stuff, man. You're not telling me nothing about Central Africa. You're not telling me nothing about the parts of East Africa where we came from in the slave trade. A little over 500,000 of us. Like, not mad at people who want to talk about North Africa, right? That were there slaves that came from there? 100%. Not denying that in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, you can see you can still see a population in North Africa who are literally from the same slave trade that we came from, called the Ganawa. You can see them in Morocco right now. They are. Now you want to say that's us? That's us, fam. The Ganawa been documented in the slave in the Maghrebi slave trade for hundreds of years. For hundreds of years. And they'll tell you, no, we came from Senegal, we came from northern Nigeria, we came from here, we came from like they're a conglomerate of people that make up, like they show you, like again, their genetic background is of the whole slave trade that we came from, fam. Minus probably some of the stuff from like Angola and the Congo and whatnot, right? But in terms of like what was coming from Nigeria to Senegal, oh yeah, fam. Nah, we kin folks. We straight kin folks. Hey, what up, fam? Oh, yeah. Oh, please go understand. Like, yeah, go check out the Gnawa, Gnawa, or it can be spelled a few different ways. In North Africa, they'll make the wa sound like WA, like with the OUA sometimes. So like it can get spelled differently, but typically Gnawa, and you'll see them connected to you'll see a lot of videos where like, oh, their music is connected to the American blues tradition. Like, oh boy. They got music festivals that our American musicians go hang out with. They're like, oh man, look at the roots of this here. We can see where this lines up here. This lines up. Oh yeah. Right down to folks catching the Holy Ghost, fam. You understand? Boy, go check it out. And yes, just like us, they descend amongst them were people who were Jews, people who were Christians, and they majority have all converted to Islam now, right? They have people you can see the traditional African traditions amongst their spiritual traditions amongst their stuff that have nothing to do with Islam and Christianity and Judaism. All that, fam. Like I said, they come from the same slave trade that's documented in the Islamic text that we come from. The same Maghrebi slave trade that we come from, fam. These are real people we could go connect to right now as kinfolks in Morocco right now. Oh, snap, that's us. Like literally. Mauritania, same thing. They got people descended from the same slave trade that we come from in Mauritania. Going through similar stuff that we go through here. They're gonna go through similar stuff like we go through here. But you're not gonna learn about them talking to Afrocentrists, man. You're gonna learn about some fake we were the Shah and the Shang dynasty of China type stuff. The Berbers have been around for 300,000 years type stuff. Like, come on, fam. We got to do better than that. My man said, I try to remain neutral because Moore is my brother. I just got to be honest. He won hands down. I'll do a review soon. Shout out to Moore. Shout out to Silky. Peace to the chat. Yeah, 100%. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for the spelling. Hello, I was going to ask. This is deeply fascinating. Been looking for more connections like this. Oh, fam. No, 100%, bruh. And this is what I'm saying. This is why it's important to get rid of this Afrocentrist view and get down to a real honest African-centered historical view, right? Because we can actually make these connections now, fam. Again, I'm somebody who 10 years ago thought these connections were impossible to make. Impossible to make. And shout out to my man's Anonymous, right? Because it's his fault that I made some of these connections. You know what I'm saying? He called me up one day, and everybody in the squad super excited from a church in Savannah, Georgia. talking about he was looking at some writings on some pews and whatnot, and showed me some stuff. And he was talking about there being a possible trade language on the joint. I was like, hold on, let me see this stuff here. Let me see this stuff here. And I saw clear as day, I could see some Arabic that a blind Muslim could read. And I was like, oh, well, let me go look into this here. And then I got to hear the brother that Anonymous got to go take his tour with, talking about what was on the pews and what was on the trade language being a mixture of Hebrew and Arabic. And then eventually Preston thing was able to find possible Hebrew and Arabic on the pews together, on a multiple pews, shorthand versions. Again, shout out to the people who put together the documentary, the Cryptic Quest, and shout out to Dr. Ephraim Isaac and whatnot, like breaking down the concept of there being potential shorthand versions of the Tetragrammaton on those pews, on multiple pews, and again on the same pews that we see Arabic writing. And on top of that, every time we, like, from what I've been able to see, whenever we see these pews where there's a word for God or Allah, we see this shorthand version of the Tetragrammaton as well. So again, like, there's real history we get to build on now, fam. Because there's more than just Arabic and Hebrew in there doing this. There's a bunch. That's a lot more in that junk, fam. There's a lot we get to fill in. A lot of breadcrumbs now, fam. Yeah. We've been on this road for a long time, fam. And so off that, like, I went into the Gullah stuff, right? And I had no idea how much Gullah stuff was actually recorded. I had no idea that there's been people for decades going into the Sea Island coast and whatnot, and just recording stories from the old heads or whatnot. Thank God they have, and thank God they've survived. Because we have more than enough breadcrumbs to find our way home from all the different directions of where home is for all of us. But we don't get to follow them breadcrumbs to reality from an Afrocentrist point of view. We got to step away from that again to an honest African-centered point of view, fam. An honest African-centered point of view. But I see no one wants to jump up. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this thing down, fam. Again, I appreciate everyone for coming through. I appreciate y'all for your time. Please comment down below. It definitely helps with the algorithm. Like, so if you like and subscribe, that's one thing. Comment in the chat's another thing. Commenting down below in the actual comment section also helps the videos get hit the algorithm quite a bit. YouTube they like that trifecta, you know what I'm saying? So appreciate you for your engagement. Appreciate you for your thoughts. And if you disagree on anything I had to say, please let me know. We can engage peacefully, you know what I'm saying? Respectfully, intelligently, all that type of stuff. Yeah. But might have me some company here in a second. As soon as the device connects. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, here we go. Your camera's on. Just a minute, family. I'll be having a guest in a quick second. But yeah, this is we live in a real interesting day and time now, to where again, I got no issues with the elders that brought us Afrocentrism and whatnot, right? None whatsoever, because like I said, I understand where it comes from and where it came from. But, and I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm saying measure everything that you believe in a falsifiable way. like you should in real science. Try to disprove the thing. Try to prove the thing. The more you can't disprove it, the more true it is, right? If you can disprove it, let it go. If you can disprove it, let it go. All right, here we go. Was good, fam.
So you can hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, first off, you know what I'm saying? StreamYard and all these other streams is trying to, they're trying to get me, fam. So, you know what I'm saying? I had to make sure that I had that stuff straight. Hey, shout out to you for presenting your debates without trying to be biased and just really trying to go through the narrative. You dig what I'm saying? I'm, you know, I'm trying to promote what we're about to do, but I also want to do it with a level of decorum and dignity to let you know, like, we aren't trying to like promote what we do as though we're better. We're just looking at the debate and really going over how we have addressed certain things. And I think it's weird. People don't understand that. Like, when you present your debates, you're doing your best to not be biased. Like, of course, you think you will win, right? But you just like presenting information and all of this. And so I want to give you that applause, because I don't think, well, I'll say this, I think you're the first person in our community that tries to do that. So I do want to give you your props.
I appreciate that. Thank you, fam.
I don't think people give you enough credit for that. Right? Everybody else goes and they're just belligerent and they just, I did this and I did that, and it's really for you. You're just reviewing the debate, right? I came on to promote what's about to happen. We've come up with names and all this different stuff, and I do think in the debate world, my brother and I are about to change a lot of different things. But I want to make it known, like, it's for the better. Like, if you're able to watch a debate review like this and then move into the space where you can learn from it, the type of debater you'll be, you know, on YouTube and all of that, but just in life, will take you to an entirely different level, because it's what we're trying to do is force you to understand that your information, even if my information doesn't, it doesn't pass the sniff test, right? And I want you to know the integrity that this brother has when he's talking about debates. Me and Moore been like really good friends. Like, of course, I would say brothers, but y'all won't understand that. Y'all will be weird. But we've been good friends for a long time. Helped my son out of a horrible situation. You know, I know his family situation. It's my family situation. And even through all of that, he'll tell me if he thinks that I lost a debate. Right? Right, Moore?
Yeah. And I'll immediately call you when my debate's over and say, don't tell me what I did right. Tell me
Right.
everything I did wrong.
I didn't even get to that part. The first thing out of his mouth is, what did I do wrong? How do I get better in my debate? I don't think y'all understand how serious we take this, because it is this type of situation that is going to propel us, whether you are Afrocentric and you want to argue for Black people, whether you're an Israelite, you want to argue for an Israelite, or whether you're religious and it's just a religious conversation, or whether you are, Islamic brother or sister, and you want to argue from that perspective. Whatever your perspective is, the ability to debate properly is going to propel your perspective to the next level. And I just got to keep it a buck, because I am going to do a review of this, right? Just like I'm going to do a review of Zion's debate. I hope you don't get your feelings hurt, right? If you do not understand the process of debate, you're going to get exposed to it. You can't just show up and say, no, it's not. Present a AI Google source. You think you did something. Now, I'm not mad at the AI Google source, right? I would like to see more, but at least explain to me how, and this is the key in any debate, how does the arguments, or how do the arguments intersect with each other? How do they interact? I don't care that you can come and present a great premise. When the rubber meets the road, I need to know your rebuttal, and I need to know your some people call it rapid fire, some people say chin check, whatever it is. Your interrogation round, when you guys are able to ask each other questions, how does that interact? Because this right here, this brother that's talking to you, and I'm gonna keep it a stack. This is where I'll make you get mad at me. I'm gonna watch the majority of y'all, whether you're watching it now or you're watching it on a playback. But this is the one person that I gotta prepare for on an interrogation round. Because in my opinion, he wrote the book on what it takes to interrogate your opponent and what it takes to rebut your opponent. And if I don't see that in your debates, I'm not going to view you as somebody who's taking this thing serious. And so I applaud him for going through the debate. I applaud him for bringing up different things that we've done and how they coincide and how they line up with the argument. But most importantly, I applaud him for staying on the course and setting up certain things. And so, more, it's cool if I shout out the names and I talk about what's coming.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I didn't want to overstep on that. So, through all of this
You
time,
see the background, right?
I see it, but I'm just trying to be, respectful. So what he and I have come up to, it's just realizing like we have a rare chance to take what we're doing to the next level, right? And so he'll be the purveyor of the main channel, or the channel where you can go and you can expound and debate certain big names and all of this other stuff. And that's going to be called the Gauntlet, right? You'll be able to come on there and debate and have different platforms, or I should say different formats of debate, and we'll call that like the NBA, right? And then the thing that we've talked about that I'll create or I'm working on is something called the Forge. And if you can think about the Forge, like from a steel forge type situation where we're forging something, like iron sharpens iron, right? And so that's the goal. Like I've always had the desire to work on what we call like the D League or the G League, like the developmental league. And I know some of y'all think you're too good for that. Cool. I hope you are. But for those of you that can come to the space where you understand you need the practice, because Moore and I, between the both of us, I think we're close to 60 or 70 debates more, something in that space.
We're running up on 70, man.
Right? So
I'm at 34 right now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know I'm somewhere, I'm close. I'm at 34, 35, something like that.
By the time you're done doing your upcoming season in SVDL, it'll definitely be over 70. Man.
Oh, yeah, it'll definitely be
over.
Definitely, right?
70, 75 at least.
And we have very few losses.
Timed, judged, structured debates, not just freestyle. Yeah. Oh, it's debate. No.
Right.
Proper actual debates, man.
Right. Explain. I don't want to come from me. Explain why that's so serious, though. Why is that a big deal?
Because there's I'll just keep it simple. There's levels to this thing, right? There's levels to this thing, right? And so for instance, the brother that you saw me debating on the video tonight, right? Anonymous actually tried to talk to him and explain, like, hey, this is how you set up an opening. This is how you set up a premise.
And that was before your debate, right?
Before the debate. He tried to help out. This is how you
formulate. A normal brother don't get mad because I know what he's getting ready to go up against. But more is like, yo, whatever. Keep going. My fault, bro. My fault.
Yeah, and so this is why it's extremely important, right? And so for everybody who's Afrocentric, who's wanting to claim these wonderful civilizations in Africa and whatnot, here's something you got to recognize. Part of the culture of all those civilizations is the skill of rhetoric, the skill of arguing and debate. And what's the purpose of this, fam? The whole purpose of it in all these civilizations was to find out what shakes out in the wash and the rinse, fam. Like what's real and what's fake. Who got the real and who got the fake? So if you know what you're talking about, can you demonstrate what you're saying? Can you break it down? Can you argue what you're talking about? Can you withstand scrutiny? And so we got a lot of people who want to debate like they live in an echo chamber, like they're arguing to themselves in their brain. No. The purpose of this thing here is to find out is what you're thinking about. Is your concepts, are they sound? And hence we have the forge, where steel sharpens steel and iron sharpens iron. And once you get you a weapon sharpened up, you know how to debate. You know how to set up a premise. You know how to deliver an argument. You know how to attack weaknesses in somebody's argument. You know how to spot a fallacy, etc. Now, once you got some skill sets under you with this weapon, now you can step up a notch and bring it to the gauntlet, where it's a debate platform made by debaters for debaters, right?
Excellent. Hey, there was 2 dope taglines. Where steel sharpens steel with the forge. And the gauntlet, a platform made by debaters for debaters. I promise you that you will not see anybody in this community that has more experience and love for the art of debate in the community than us combined. That's just the truth. Now, graphics and all that stuff, whatever you make, or beat my chest and the ability to do one thing, but just the overall concept of what it means to be an amazing debater, that's me and more. Our wins and losses speak to that, right? Because that's the other thing about of having judge debates. Not every judge, and especially people will play games, but the channels where we were debating on with their judge, they don't believe the way we believe, right? Like, neither one of us are One West Israelite believers. We're not your typical quintessential Trinitarian Christian believers. Like, we have very different viewpoints on the Bible. And yet we're still able to enter into these debates and win by people that are our peers and judge, so on and so forth, right? And so the goal that I want to put out to you guys, and I think Jeremiah just said it, Jeremiah Al-Quds is Jeremiah, right? He says, I want to try a new debate style, 5-minute opening, 20-minute premise, 10-minute rebuttal. I want to see how well my opponents do under pressure and time constraints. I challenge you to go 5, 7, and 3, right? I want you to be able to get as many headshots off in 5 or 3-minute opening, 7 to 10-minute premise, 3 to 5 minute close, and a 5-minute, pressing round. So then that way, when you have more time, you become more proficient. And so when the brother talks about the forge or steel sharpens steel, there's going to be a lot that comes with that. Like, we're going to view you as an up-and-coming debater, and then you get to go into a ranking situation, right? And shout out to Moore, because he says, like, okay, now you go do that. I'm going to do this other part, because when we deal with the gauntlet, it's champion on champion type conversation. It's elite upon elite, whatever you consider yourself, and we'll work on those names and those topics. My job is to get you ready to go and pull out your strap and get the bucket. No time wasted, none of that. And why are we having this conversation right now? Because in my opinion, Silky wasted a lot of time, even in his opening. And just to let you know how I watched the debate, if you go and watch Moore's opening, he's explaining what he's going to debate. But when Silky comes, there's grandstanding. Listen, bro, when it's time to shoot, we can do all of that extra on the panels, right? We can grandstand, we can do all of that in the pre-debate stuff. Think about boxing, right? You see a Tank Davis fight, he gonna push Ryan Garcia off the stage and all this extra. But when it's time to fight, ain't no grandstanding. No round is wasted. I maybe take the first round, so that opening, I'm gonna fill you out. I got my hands up, and from there on out, I'm punching. Moore didn't even do that when he debated Silky. And don't get me started on the Apollo Bay debate. That's a whole other conversation. When he pulls up on Silky, he pulls up and he's immediately explaining what he's going to debate. Am I back?
It's still a little muffled.
Hold on, let me mute out.
Are you better now?
Let me know if I get muffled again.
You got it, man.
All right. So, and I'll wrap up here. When you debate, there's no wasted time. Pull up and take your shots and be ready for the rebuttal. Shoot at that point and then shoot him in the rapid fire. He did an amazing job showing that in his debate tonight. And I promise you, he does an amazing job at every debate. In my opinion, I suck at that. Now, I've won a championship and different stuff and all of that. In my opinion, my rebuttals are horrible compared to where I am now. And I definitely feel like my rapid fires weren't that good because I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't care about prepping questions. I'm pulling up freestyling, beating you up. Now, I just got a natural talent for this, so I'll take it. But when it comes to preparation and the ability to do this brother's second in one.
And don't get it twisted. Like, you need the freestyle game too, right? Like, you need all of it, right? You got to be able to go in the flow and have your structure there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's all necessary, right? But what the brother's saying is that in there being levels to this, there's levels to this, right? Like, so the money in the debate is made on the rebuttals and in the rapid, like in the crossfire rounds or whatnot, right? Because the easy part should be you giving out your information. That should be a walk in the park. You should be able to know your stuff backwards and frontwards going into the debate, right? That's the easy part, right? So it shouldn't be hard. Like, you shouldn't be wasting a lot of time in the debate thinking about what you're going to be saying about what you're talking about, right? However, you need to be studying what your opponent's saying very closely, so you can counter his arguments and wrestle with his arguments in front of the people and whatnot, right? In a proper debate, you're exchanging your premises, you're exchanging your sources and whatnot, so you can do that a lot easier, right? In the conscious community style world debating and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? People don't do that, right? In a lot of other debate platforms, they don't exchange premises. You find out on the spot what's going on, right? So it becomes like my man's talking about, like it's a freestyle skill set of being able to can I hear what you're saying within the freestyle, get your arguments within the freestyle, and get my counter arguments going off within the freestyle, right? Nice. So it's a structure. It's like jazz, fam. Like, they like, my guy, you're freestyling on you know what I'm saying, on the solo, but there's a rhythm to the thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's right. Now I'll tell you, like, I've sparred with Moore so many times, Elder Yara, KOT. I can name 15, 20 people that I've sparred in private with, which allowed me to create my style of debate, right? But I'm going to be honest with you. If you bring your style, if you bring my style of debate against me in a debate, I'm going to beat it up, right? Because the quiet understanding is I still have notes. I still am prepared for my rebuttals. I still know exactly where you're going to go. And a person like the Orthodox Moore, Rio and Cozy, whether you agree with
go
them,
check out Judah doing the debate review. He got a stack of notes.
Right. Like, I try not to.
He takes great round by round notes.
Right. A brother like Judah Nazara, right? They're blacktastic in my opinion, right? Even though he doesn't have a ton of debates, he knows the art of it, right? You can say that Yar won or lost debates, but he moves in that same lane. I don't want to say other people because I don't agree with a lot of people's debate styles because I know what Mia Moore would do to him. I'm just gonna be honest with you, right? If you ever see my debate against Vocab, and I try not to, champion or anything, I think I won. Just to be honest, Moore thinks I lost, right? But he thinks I did great against him. He just thinks I lost. It's real, and I don't have no issue with that, right? I guarantee you, with that topic and all of this stuff, very few of you would have done in that time constraint what I was able to do, right? But the point is, it's like, you got to debate a Vocab. You got to debate a Damian Richardson, right? You got to debate a Pastor Bennett. And while you laughing, think about what it is to debate them people and make a coherent argument. You got to debate a Chris Harris, right? You got to debate a Taz Exclusive. You got to debate a Damo, the political plug. That sounds funny until you're backstage waiting and getting ready to go head up with him and you're wondering, did I bring enough to the party? That's our goal, is to get you prepared to the point where you are not worried. You got to debate a Rio and Cozy, aka Minister Howe. All of which people between the likes of me and Moore have won and either debated or and beat them or scored very highly against. So, for instance, he's debated Chris. I debated Chris, we scored highly, right? I've debated Rio. I beat him, right? Maybe he gets me again. Maybe he gets me on the next one. I've debated Taz twice. Very hard out. I won, right? Do you know what it takes to prepare a debate and then come back and shoot them? And that's what I hope the Forge becomes. We are pumping out debaters that are coming into a situation where now you can go to the gospel truth, to the gauntlet. That's going to be a grueling debate platform, modern day debates, or even Sonnetter if you want, right? I don't, nothing against Sonnetter. I want to make this clear. I don't feel like that's the hardest place to debate, right? But even like a SVDL, wherever you're going to go.
Nor is it the most edifying debate style. Like, so doing 3 rounds of straight information with no rebuttals is not actual debate. It's a advertisement.
No, I agree. And even with the step with the process that they got, where like you Zen and then got a rebuttal and then you go into your premise round.
Like 3-minute rebuttals is garbage, fam. Like that's
especially
not
when somebody has like 10 or 15 minutes. Like,
you got to have equal time. So if you notice in this debate, I literally like so Silky wanted that whole style. Like, look at the 315s. I was like, cool. One of my 15s is going to be a straight rebuttal round.
Facts. And I'm going to tell you why that's crazy, right? So when it comes to the other thing Moore and I have talked about and what I've created is a platform called Debate Central, which is strictly going to be like just going over debates and things like that. And we'll take that and we'll incorporate it into the gauntlet, into the Forge, and it'll be great, whatever. And then if we need to get rid of that and just do it on those channels, we'll do it. But the concept of that is, if I want to review a Sonnetter debate, once again, shout out to you, Sonnetter. Like, you are an amazing content creator. I'm not creating beef, and I want y'all to know anything that we are creating is not a beef towards any other platform. I don't want this to come across that. So shout out to you, sir. But when I have to review a debate, I have to create a specific rubric specifically for that debate style, because it doesn't give the debater enough time to rebut. Right? Whereas us as debaters, we understand that rebuttals and rapid fire, where we're doing the interrogation, hey, fam, that's the key. Because as Moore said, I'm not competing against anybody in my opening, in my premise. I'm doing the best I can to get a 10-0 round, get 10 points or whatever my maximum points in that round is. There's nobody to check me. I'm competing against myself. It's in that rebuttal and in that rapid fire or in that interrogation round where I show my mastery of my information. And I want y'all to understand that, because that's the next level of debates. And as long as he and I are sitting here holding the reins to that, that's what we're going to press. That's what we're going to look at. Doesn't mean that we're going to ignore the opening and the premise, or like your intro and your actual presentation of your information. But if all things are equal, like if he and I debate, and it's not a 10-8 like a boxing, like it's just straight up scoring, he and I are going to get close to like the max score on each round. Where the rubber's gonna meet the road is in the rebuttal and in that rapid fire. And I need for y'all to understand that if you're a future debater, because I'm gonna clip a lot of this and put this on different channels, right? I need to know that you've mastered your information to where when they intersect, you can get it done. And if you can't, it's gonna show in that score.
And that closing, don't forget the closing part.
I wasn't even gonna bring that up yet. I was gonna leave that to you. I was gonna leave that on to you.
Because like the close, so the rebuttal rounds and the any kind of Q&A rounds, that's gonna show your actual your skill set in terms of what you know and like your fight skill set, right? You know what I'm saying? However, not everybody's gonna understand what the hell just went on in them Q&A rounds or whatnot, right? So the closing is your chance to teach the people and explain to the people what you did, what blows you landed in sequence, etc. Like why you won that round, right? How you were able to defeat the person's skill set, and what skill set you employed to do so, right? So they can be like, oh, okay, that's what happened, right? So again, this becomes it's a roundabout teaching. Right, like it's all teaching, right? But again, this is why I keep saying this is about a skill in rhetoric. This is a rhetorical skill. This is about how can you explain your ideas to the people and whatnot, right? And so that last and final round is like you explaining these championship rounds you'll keep hearing us harp on, right? Like, so they're all important. Every round is important. The premise round is important because you are explaining your concept and explaining what your premise is going to look like, right? Or how you're going to be maneuvering in the debate, right? Extremely important, right? Your premise round is extremely important because it's the idea that you're standing on. So you better be able to explain that properly, right? Your rebuttal round, extremely important because you're defending the attacks on your thing, right? And while also trying to attack the other person's stuff still, right? Q&A round, same thing, except you're doing it in a phone booth now, right? And so like somebody's coming out, you know, there's 2 men enter, 1 man leave in that situation, right? And since 2 men have to leave, like visually,
that's what we might call it too. Phone booth match, bro, like that.
Yeah, no, it's the phone, bro. That's my favorite. I like the close quarters, John. You understand what I'm saying? Those are my favorite styles.
Sir.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, sir.
I like it like that, bro. I like the short bridge fights. You understand? But but once you're done with that, right? Like so once you're done with that phone booth fight, like the thing. Okay, so here's the thing about anybody who watches boxing matches or any kind of fighting match, right? Like, so once it gets that close, you can't really see what's going on from a distance. I don't know what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? I can kind of see what is going on, but I don't catch everything on what's going on the inside. And the inside's where the beautiful work's happening. You understand what I'm saying? That's where the intricate work is happening. That's where I'm trapping bridges. I'm coming across.
That's that Dragon Ball Z space. You see it, right?
It's going down right there in the phone booth. And so that closing round, I'm explaining what happened in that phone booth. Yep. I'm giving you the play-by-play recap of what happened in that phone booth and why I put hands on Oboy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And why, like, and that's, you will consistently see me go back to my intro round where I break down my premises and my counter premises and whatnot. Like, see, this is what I said. This is what was going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. I run through the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like you rely, like, and this is where relying on your structure is okay, right? Like, so you freestyle within the structure, whatnot, but have a structure.
Yep.
Definitely
agree.
freestyle, but freestyle within the structure, fam.
Now, where I needed to get better, and where my brother challenged me, is have a direction where you want to go in that phone booth round. Like I'm gifted at interrogation. That's probably due to what I did in my prior life, right? But debate is different because you need to be able to lead your opponent into a trap based upon what your premise was. And if you did everything you were supposed to do, i.e., great opening, great premise, great rebuttal, then your interrogation and your closing are going to line up with that.
Yeah, it
Right?
becomes super easy. I'm just answering
Yep.
questions off of what I said in my
Facts.
debate. No, I
Facts.
already dealt with that in my debate. Like, so, like I said in my debate, you'll hear me say that all the time. And shout out, shout out to people like Solar, right? Because
Facts, bro.
Solar got this thing called a shucklebuck, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to Judah for giving him that name, because people don't give Judah the
Shout out
correct
to
love for
Judah.
that name.
Shout
You know
out
what
to
I'm saying?
Judah. Yep.
But again, it's a third person interrogation around it, whatnot, right? And so I personally, this is my own horn. I feel like I do the best out of everybody in the Shucklebuck round. I've actually had
I
the
agree.
longest Shucklebuck round in history.
I agree.
I had an hour and a half
I agree.
Shucklebuck round that was longer than the damn
I
debate.
agree. I agree.
But the concept is you stand your ground, you stay on your premise, and then you get to the point where you start forcing questions back on Soul and whatnot, right? And so that's how you deal with any Q&A round. Is you, like, if you did, like my man said, if you did your work in your opening and your premise round, you were comfortable because you just sit right there and you regurgitate what you had to say. It's like boom, no, I covered that, I covered that, like I said. And when you do your homework and you do your job, that becomes like the responding part of the Q&A becomes super easy. That part shouldn't be difficult for you, right? You should be sitting back in the pocket just seeing what's coming, like your Goku with the
Ultra Instinct,
Ultra
right?
Instinct,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And this the first brother that told me, who even showed me how to get to my Ultra Instinct space. Right? I'm just gonna keep it a stack. So now look, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna talk a little crap. I feel sorry for y'all in season 5 or season 5, season 6 over in SPDL. Like y'all don't know the monster y'all about to get. But for those of y'all that do watch anime, you deal with Dragon Ball Z and all of this. In our opinion, it's a very it's a very accurate portrayal of what's going on, because you're moving so fast that the normal audience can't keep up, and you guys are parrying, you're taking shots, and then you get to the rebuttal, and then at some point in time, like when you get to that rapid fire and that closing round, bro, that's how you shut somebody down. Like that rebuttal, rapid fire, and closing round. If you really master the information, you should destroy your opponent, or you're gonna get destroyed because you got beat up so bad in the premise. And shout out to Moore. I think he and I may be the best at doing this, at beating our opponent up so bad in the premise that even though it may not sound like it, the rest of their debate, they're trying to recover from that. Right? You need to master your information so clearly. Go ahead, Moore. I heard you come on.
No, you good. I'll wait.
Yeah, you need to master your information so clearly. And when you finished with that, it's an uphill battle for them, and then for the rest of the joint, you shooting downhill. You still got to shoot. Don't get it twisted, right? Because if it's me, I know you got me in that opening round or in that previous round, and I'm still finna keep attacking that hill, right? Some of these, if I'm debating Moore, he gonna keep attacking. If I'm debating a Jeremiah, he gonna keep attacking. If I'm debating a Judah Nazareth, if I'm debating a Taz, if I'm debating a Jabari, if I'm debating a Garfield, these type of guys are gonna keep attacking. So you gotta be ready to attack. If I'm debating a Mr. Blacktastic, who I think y'all sleep on, they're gonna keep attacking me. So you gotta be ready. If you think you got the upper hand, how do you shoot down the hill? Whereas on the other side, how do you shoot up the hill? These are all tactics that you got to understand and know how to deploy in a debate. And I'll land right there.
Yeah, and then the premise round. So I'm gonna give you all the game right quick, right? So because we're just gonna keep reiterating the same thing over and over again on the forge, etc.
Yeah,
Right?
stop giving away some of these technologies, Flan. Go ahead and give
No,
away.
I mean that's what the forge is for. Right?
Yes, sir.
That's what the forge is gonna be for. You know what I'm saying? And there'll be times where you might see people, you know what I'm saying, pop in as a secret debater or something like that too. Like on some secret shopper type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just to test out the system a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But again, like so a lot of people get the debate world mixed up in the concept to where like they debate people. You don't debate people, you debate arguments, right? And so that's what you're dealing with in your intro.
Man, like, you can't run by that. Say that again, bro. What? No, you don't what?
Yeah, you don't debate people, you debate arguments. And so, so for instance, my job is in my intro round, right? Now my premise for my intro round is to make me look like a prophet. One more time. My job is to make me look like a prophet. And I do that because I know the argument. The argument is what it is. It ain't got nothing to do with you, fam. The argument is what it is, right? So if I know what your premise is, or even so, this is how so I kill people because I'll figure out your premise just off the argument, right? Because there's only so many places you can move, right? With the argument, it just is what it is, and so I map out where the argument goes. Like I take it out to its logical end, right? And then once I've taken it to its logical end, I explain it to its logical end, and then I explain the problems with it. And then I show you where I'm going to attack those problems. And then I let you make me look like a prophet.
That's a bar. That's a bar, bro. Hey, look. Hey, I didn't mean to make it about this, but he and I love this stuff so much that we kind of, you know.
Hey, go ahead and geek out, fam. That's what it's for.
Yeah. So, but I do want to bring it back to Silky and all of that. Like, so he lost, in my opinion, he lost the debate in his intro. And then it got even worse in his premise.
Hold on, real quick, Jeremiah, it's just for you. I'm gonna close this joint out on a certain video. I mean, go ahead, you got it, my fault.
Hey, and shout out to Jeremiah. Like y'all don't understand. I think Elect, but I mean, I got a lot of high hopes for Jeremiah. That's my vote for like I guess like pre-season or pre-conversation. Rookie debater of the year in terms of where we really put him at. I think he has a lot of the skill set necessary to come in and smack a lot of debaters, right? I do want to see how he measured up against like a Neo X or a Brother Rob. I'm gonna try my best not to pit him against Elect because they are at the same camp. But I think Elect also has a lot of these skill sets for these first year, like not saying they're rookie debaters, but like they're new to just going into quote unquote the gauntlet, right? So I want to see. My money's on Jeremiah, so I'm just gonna keep it buck. But I want to make it clear: if you did not do a good job in your intro and in your premise, you are fighting uphill the rest of the debate. And I believed that when Moore opened his debate, we get a clear, like for instance, I didn't even know what Silky's premise was. What side is he fighting on? I'm clear on what I'm looking at with Moore. I'm clear on every round what his argument is. And although
I'm letting my hands go every round, bro. You don't gotta tell me to let my hands go, bro. Let the bell ring and see what happens.
I'm an MMA fighter. He letting his hands and his feet go. More know I'm an MMA fighter. More the first person that ever gave me the idea to take Tyson's peekaboo style and combine it with MMA. And I worked on that.
Hey, it worked perfect with Muay Thai, bro. It was made for
you know what I'm saying?
Like, made for that jump.
You know what I'm saying, bro? You take that peekaboo, mix it in with that MMA, I'm gonna take your head off, right? But when we look at what Silky did, he grandstand. Instead of saying, here is the clear-cut argument that I'm bringing. That's your intro. Your intro is not the time to get your ego off. I don't care about your ego. Do your ego in your intro, in your, hey, we're gonna let you meet the debaters.
Hey,
right?
check this out. No, for it, the only round you can really let it go is if at the end if you
You're
drop
closing.
me, if you
Yes, sir.
drop me in the whole
Yes, sir.
thing, and I'm
Yes,
just out
sir.
cold, bro. Go ahead and
Yes, sir.
go ahead and get your peacock
Yeah.
dance on. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead and
Start,
flex
I
a
ain't even
little
mad
bit.
at you, fam. But I
Right.
better be out. I better be out cold on the ground.
Facts. Right. And I don't care if you debating. I love you. I love this brother whose name I'm gonna say. I don't care if you debating Ratazan or Orthodox man. You better make sure that your intro and your premise makes these people know what your point is. Because when I listen to Silky's argument, unless I'm being biased, and I love the brother who this is, so I'm not gonna say his name, but when I go back and watch the chat, there's a brother being biased because they ignore the intro round. Stop wasting time in these debates. I don't care about your disdain. Nobody cares about your disdain for your opponent. Do that on your own channel. Jump on it immediately. Here's what I'm talking about. Here's my, like what I like to do. I'm going to lay out my definitions in my intro. So I don't got to waste time for that in my premise. So that way my entire premise is nothing but cut after cut after cut after cut after cut. I'm not saying you have to take that, but please let me know in your intro what you were arguing. Moore came out and laid out a very clear intro. So that way when he came into his premise, when he came into his presentation, he didn't have to go back over it.
Oh,
You get what I'm saying? Am I back?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay.
All right. So Moore, when he goes into his joint, there's no necessity for him to go over certain points. He just breaks down everything. Jeremiah says this. I like telegraphing in the premise. I'm like Larry Bird. I'm going here, saying this. They won. They won't address anything. And I agree, right? And here's the funny thing. The deeper you get into this, you understand that that's one way of doing it. You can come with the Dominique Wilkins style of, I'm gonna wait till you give me a space. I'm gonna drop step and I'm gonna fly and dunk on. I like the Larry Bird style as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I want to let you know.
I call it the Bruce Lee style. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take my right foot and I'm gonna hit you on the left side of your head. And so here's
I call that the Major Pain. That's funny.
Yeah, exactly. And here's what's beautiful about that, Jeremiah, is that makes your closing so much easier because I told you I was gonna hit him here, and what did I do? I hit him right there, didn't I?
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna say this. Hey, remember when you said that like once my situation changed, what the Most High would give me in terms
You're underwater
of
again,
fam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Remember when you said like when my situation changed, the Most High would give me somebody that understood yada yada doo ABC?
Yeah.
Man, bro, we serve an amazing God. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, sir.
Right. So all praises. So listen, man. Listen, and I'm saying that because I'm reading my text message, by the way. But here's the point, man. You got different styles and different forms of debate, and we can't wait to expose you to that. The fact that Jeremiah's, who doesn't have a lot of debates as compared to us, is already there, lets us know that we've already started to lay the foundation. He's calling it the Larry Bird. And if y'all understand Larry Bird, hey, listen, youngster, I'm gonna take you right here to this corner. I'm gonna lean my shoulder into you. I'm gonna fade away, splash. And what he do? Come right down and hit.
Hey, all you need to know about Larry Bird is Gary Payton said he was the coldest shit talker.
I'm gonna tell you. Hey, I'm gonna tell you how cold Larry Bird was. Right. So I grew up in a family of athletes, cats that have been blessed to go play professional sports, baseball, basketball, football. So I got a 6'7", he might be 400 pounds now, but like at that time, 250, something like that, uncle. No, you know what, uncle, he lost weight. So he's like 300 pounds, but he's 6'7", he's a big dude. You know, they play ball and all of this. and what he would say. Now, this ain't racial or nothing like this. Just understand what's going on in the 70s, 70 and 80s. When we were growing up, if you said anything bad about Larry Bird, you say, shut up. That's an exceptional white boy. Now, that's not racial, but just understand, like, for what was going on at this time, like, Larry Bird is competing when they're bringing all of these cats who can jump higher, run faster than everybody, and Larry Bird gonna walk you down, tell you where I'm gonna go, and hit that three right in your face. And you can say what you want, but them Celtics was winning nothing but championship.
And look at your bench when he's done, fam.
And look at you and laugh. Talk about you.
Talking to the coach, laughing at the coach going up the floor.
With a bad back. You know what I'm saying? So listen, bro. What I'm telling you is there is a way in this debate world when you walk somebody down, splash on them, and then wait for them to return fire, and there's nothing you can do about it. And Most High willing, over the next 5-10 years, we'll just be on this space where we keep educating you on how to get better and better and better and better. Right? So
be Mayweather walking down Canelo, you know what I'm saying?
All day. Think about what Mayweather did to him to the point where Canelo is now the biggest name in boxing. We waiting and hoping to see Bud versus Canelo. We hoping to see if Canelo beats Bud, then can one of the Charlos come knock him off. Like all of this craziness, right?
And that man couldn't lay a glove on Mayweather. My man was swatting
Come
a lot.
Come on,
Yo, that if y'all ain't seen the highlights from that fight in a while, go back and watch the Canelo Mayweather. When I say there's levels to this thing, family, you like that right there is the epitome of there being levels to this thing, fam.
That's ultra instinct. We ain't even talk about what it means to enter into that point.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna keep it a stack. The only person that I see that appears to have that style would be Jabari, in the sense of he gets protected by Sinetta, right? But if we want to say who uses it and where you go on the road, I say me and Moore use that type of style where it's going to be very hard for you to hit us, right?
I think Andrew Wilson has a good. So
I haven't studied enough. You keep telling me about this cat, and I haven't studied.
He fuses he does more ultra ego than ultra instinct. A little bit ultra instinct. Then there's a Muslim cat named the Orthodox Muslim. His name is Lubiano. He does it. Him and he got a homie. They get an ultra instinct real good. But again, their thing is like they know the information that they're talking about way more than anyone that they're talking to. So like it's just like fam, it's cheating. It's straight cheating. But yeah, no, there's some like you're talking about ranking debaters, fam. I'm saying some cats, fam, because like we you know what I'm saying.
And you know what I'm finna do. Stop playing with me. Like and look, I'm gonna be honest, I don't care about your race, I don't care about none of that, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, I'm gonna line you up for a debate with me. So be careful. And you can pretend like you don't want that smoke if you don't, whatever, right? Number one, I'm gonna go spar with the dude who's right here to the left. Are you to the left of me right now? Yeah, I'm a spar with the dude right to the left of me before we debate. But even if I didn't, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. You can pretend to play like whatever. You can just go watch us get down on panels. I just got busy today on a panel. I don't care.
I saw that, by the way.
All praise. I caught multiple bodies today on a panel.
Hey, shout out to the Tour Knights, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out to TK. Shout out to Judah Nash. Shout out to all the brothers. Shout out to Devion. Shout out to Jeremiah. You know what I'm saying?
And shout out to everybody wearing that fly bright clothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? No hate, but don't press me, fam. Because I will pull up and pull out that scriptural strap. I'll pull up and pull out that what else you want? Political, black only, economics. You want to debate it, psychology. That's the thing that I think that makes me and my brother very dangerous. And other people will tell you, we'll debate any topic you want if it's viable, right? And I wouldn't suggest you do that until you get comfortable with the style of debate. But the point is this, like, I'm gonna rank y'all. I don't want, and shout out to Moore, we've agreed, like, I'll do that. I'll take the heat on that. because he's gonna run the big boy platform. I'm running the developmental platform. He's running the grown man platform. You gotta smoke with me, bro. You better bring it. Because I'll line up with you. I will line up with you, bro. And you better be able to protect what you're saying. That's just the truth. And you can say you ain't this, you ain't that. I got at least one trophy to prove it in a debate league. Right? I'm doing something right. And I'm gonna be honest, none of them judges was on my side. So that means I'm doing something okay. I'm doing okay. Let's just say it's okay, right? So I'm just telling you right now, I expect to see y'all get better, because what we want to do is spit out debaters that's going to go on any platform and have an amazing debate. Imagine being able to have a great debate with Ben Shapiro, Andrew Wilson, Mark Lamont Hill, Jesse Peterson. Wherever you're going to go, you should be able to defend your ideology and clap these cats. And that's our goal. So I'm going to stop talking. I will say this. Shout out to you, Silky. It's not biased. I just think the brother got you because you didn't take advantage of your time. You didn't take advantage of your position. And I think that his position was just much more clear. Obviously, there are those that disobey me, that would disagree with me and want to debate me. I would say when that happens, just come when I'm doing a review, no matter who you are, and let's have a conversation. I'll have my notes. You bring your notes. You'll be welcome when I do these reviews, and we'll talk about it, right? But let's not make it personal, right? Pull up for the debate. Be ready to get it in, and we're gonna go from there. Great debate. I love this background. I feel like it's debater DNA. I'm gonna steal it, and the rest of it is, hey, get your weight up, fam, because we here. We ain't coming no more. We here. All praise.
Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to Jeremiah. This one's for you, Phil.
I was 5 and he was 6. We rode on horses made of sticks. He wore black and I wore white. He would always win the fight. Bang, bang, he shot me down. Bang, bang, I hit the ground. Bang, bang, that awful sound. Bang, bang, my baby shot me down. Seasons came and changed the time. When I grew up, I called him mine. He would always laugh and say, remember when we used to play? Bang, bang, I shot you down. Bang, bang, you hit the ground. Bang, bang, that awful sound. Bang, bang, I used to shoot you down. Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang. Now he's gone, I don't know why. And till this day, sometimes I cry. He didn't even say goodbye. He didn't take the time to lie. Bang, bang, he shot me down. Bang, bang, I hit the ground. Bang, bang, that awful sound. Bang, bang, my baby shot me down.